Today on Dr. Phil, he walked away from his family.
My dad met Ashley, who was only 19, and left my mom for her.
What would be a home run for you?
That he would drop dead and die.
If we can't kill him, is there a second choice?
10 angry kids.
Chase called my job.
I didn't call your job, you called me. Honey, get that right in the first place.
One messy affair.
Do you two plan to start a family?
I'm actually pregnant now.
Let's do it.
Why don't we stop all the drama, stop all the fighting, and let's go get you better.
Here we go. Have a good show, everybody.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Pretty free. Take it.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Okay, you're going to have to follow me here. Whitney is the oldest of 10 children, ranging from ages 27 to 6. She says that she had the perfect big family growing up. But 5 years ago, everything changed, and her once happy family is now in all-out war. No one is talking, and everyone is taking sides. Take a look.
I'm Whitney. I'm 27 years old, and I am the oldest of 10 children. Our problem started about 5 years ago. It's a little confusing, so I'll break it down. My mom, Melinda, was married to my dad, Scott. Then in 2008, my dad met Ashley, who was only 19 at the time, and left my mom for her. Since then, my family's been divided. My sister, Lindy, chose to live with my dad and Ashley. Everyone is mad at her. My brother, Kyle, is in the military, and he stays out of this. My sister Shelby and the 6 youngest kids moved with my mom to Missouri. My dad hasn't seen the youngest kids in 5 years. I'm frustrated because I'm stuck in the middle and I'm the only one who talks to both sides. I wrote to Dr. Phil because our family is broken. It's divided and I don't know what to do anymore. All of us feel like we've been just thrown away. We don't matter anymore. It's just been a nightmare. I'm just so mad at him for what he did to us. This wasn't how life was supposed to be.
So your goal today is to achieve what?
The family being united again. Some people being civil to one another. Not this constant battle where my siblings don't talk. It's just arguing 24/7.
Now, am I getting ready to deal with a bunch of right fighters here, or what am I really up against here?
Very strong, opinionated-willed people, but people that are also just devastated by not being together anymore.
Okay. Do you think people want this family to be healed?
I believe most of us are on board with wanting to be healed.
We said that the range here is from 6 to 27.
Yes.
And we have 6 children that are still at home.
Yes.
So there are 6 little ones that are kind of caught in the crossfire of this thing.
Yes.
Right? So we'll talk about that. All right. Now, Whitney says her parents, Scott and Melinda, have been fighting dirty for the past 5 years. Let's hear what they have to say.
When my husband had an affair, my world stopped. It destroyed things inside of me that I thought that could never be destroyed.
My marriage to Melinda was one 20-year-long argument. Commitment's commitment. I figured, death till death do us part. And I joke about it. I said she just wouldn't die. But, literally I was more or less dead inside. What attracted me to Ashley is she was just cute and easygoing.
What I think of Ashley, homewrecker, that should be her name.
I moved out of the house October 18th, 2008.
I remember falling on my knees and begging him not to do this to our family, not to destroy our marriage.
And I started to leave, and my son Ben was crying and begging me not to leave, and I realized then I hated Melinda more than I loved my children, and I left.
I just can't believe after so many years that it still hurts so bad.
Melinda has made it her goal in life to make my life miserable. Melinda is very vindictive, acting like a woman scorned. Melinda is the one polluting my children against me. I tried really hard to keep a relationship with my kids. I would call every day, and it just got so frustrating, I just quit calling.
The children did not want to talk to him when he called. They just say, oh, it's sperm donor on the phone.
If they want to talk to me, they'll have to take the initiative. Melinda has lied to everybody and says I don't pay my child support, trying to make me out to be the bad guy. I am paying child support.
I believe he tries to cheat the system.
I don't think I'd do anything different with leaving my wife or meeting Ashley. I wouldn't change a thing.
Sometimes I don't think I made the emotional journey. I think that I stopped. You get up, you get the kids ready for school, you drive them to school, you kiss them goodbye. And you go home and you go back to bed. You think that you're already dead. You're alive, but you're breathing, but you're already dead. It's been like that for 4 years. You don't realize how dead you really are.
Well, today is actually the first time in 5 years that Scott and Melinda have agreed to sit down together. So, Scott, come on out, and we'll have this sit down. Scott, Dr. Phil, good to meet you, sir. Have a seat, if you would. Okay, so the two of you have 10 children together, which seems to me like lots of common interest and common business, but yet you haven't actually seen each other, sat down together for 5 years?
Correct.
And since he's been out, you have not looked at him yet.
I can't stomach him. He disgusts me. I look at his children every day. I deal with his children every day. I've cleaned up his mess for 5 years because his decision was peace and quiet, chase after a 19-year-old, lie to my family, lie to my children when my children called to say, are you coming home? Oh, I'm working, I'm not there. It absolutely sickens me to the bottom core.
So he just disgusts you, you say?
More than any words could describe.
How do you feel about her?
I'm pretty much the same way. I mean, not near as dramatic. I mean, I have a dislike for her. I don't like what she does to my children. I don't like how she plays the martyr.
And you know that because you talk to them?
I don't like the fact that she acts like she was never part of it. I mean, we argued every day for 20 years.
Well, something Scott said in the tape piece really struck me. Something you said, I just can't get out of my ear, can't get out of my mind. Let me play this for you and get you to respond.
I realized then I hated Melinda more than I loved my children, and I left.
That shocked me. As a father, I find that inconceivable. That you said you hated your wife more than you loved your children.
Correct.
Do you mean that?
Maybe at the time I said it, when that happened, yeah. I mean, I'd do anything for my children.
Well, apparently not.
Well, but stay with their mom, so yeah, probably not. But there are people that can't be married, that have regular families.
You know, you only started saying that after you hooked up with Ashley. You only started hating me when we got in the argument over you carrying on with her. And the kids saw you with her, and you allowed her to touch our children.
And tell your
you
lies.
let your girlfriend, there's a police report that backs it up, Scott.
Yeah, the police report says
and your
there
children.
was no evidence
all of them are
anything.
liars.
The only liar here is you.
10 children are liars.
Pathological liar.
10 children are liars.
So,
okay, let me ask you something. Wow.
Yeah.
You need earmuffs.
20 years of that she put up with.
Now,
Yeah, 20 years of adultery too, so watch
that's
what
right,
you're
20
saying,
years of adultery.
Scott.
okay, so tell me, what's your goal in being here today? What would be the home run for you?
A healthy relationship with my children.
With your children?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would be a home run for you?
That he would drop dead and die?
So your goal is to have a healthy relationship with your children, although some of them you haven't talked to in 5 years.
Correct.
And your goal would be for him to drop dead?
In the best circumstance, yeah.
Okay, is there, if we can't kill him, is there a second choice?
Yeah, that he would just leave our family alone like the kids have asked.
You have one daughter here who doesn't want that. She wants this family to heal.
My understanding from Whitney was she wanted her siblings, not him.
And for you and him to be civil to one another.
I'm never going to allow him to hurt me again.
Did you see the relationship your mom and I have? That's what broke up our marriage.
You're cheating.
You
broke the marriage.
Three of you.
You're cheating. Broke the marriage up.
You'll understand.
Allowing her to check
I was leaving
the children
whether Ashley showed up
broke
or not.
our marriage
I understand
up.
you don't understand that.
No,
But it doesn't
that's
matter.
fine.
She's
If
in
you
my
wanted
life.
to divorce
I
her,
married
that's
her,
fine.
And that's just
If
the way
she
it
came
is.
along later, it would be different. She played a hand in it. She stood
did
face to
not.
face to me,
Okay,
told
all right.
me, no,
I'm gonna
no.
take a break. I think during the commercial break, I'll go set up peace in the Middle East. It's got to be easier than this. Coming up, Scott hasn't seen 8 of his 10 children in almost 5 years. 2 of those children are not talking to each other because one took dad's side and the other took mom's side. Can we get them all on the same side when they join each other in the same room for the first time in years? We'll see. We'll be right back.
When the divorce happened, we just kind of fell apart.
My mom calls me a traitor.
I do not want a relationship with Scott. Scott is not my father.
Scott and Melinda were married for 27 years. They have 10 children together. In 2008, their marriage ended because Melinda says Scott was having an affair. He denies that. The 10 kids have taken sides. There's Team Mom, which includes 9 of the kids. And there's Team Dad, which includes just 1 daughter. You say the marriage was 25 years?
It was actually 24.
24 years.
Yeah.
Oh, it probably seemed like dog years for both of you.
Yes, ma'am.
But it was a long time. Take a look.
My name is Shelby, and I'm 18 years old. I'm a 5th child. I'm the oldest child at home now. When I was younger, I really looked up to my dad. He was like my savior. Now I call my biological dad Scott because he does not deserve the title of a dad.
I'm Lindy. I'm 20 years old, and I'm the 4th oldest. My siblings don't talk to me because I stayed with my dad. My dad is very happy with Ashley. He's happier than I've ever seen him.
I'm Chase, and I'm 23, and I am the 3rd oldest in the family. A big part of the reason my mom's been so hurt is that my mom lived her life for her children and for her husband. And I know that her heart had to be ripped in half because it's not the mom that I used to have.
When the divorce happened, we just kind of fell apart. Everyone was depressed, no one talked to each other. It was hard just to get out of bed. After the divorce, my mom kind of distanced herself from the kids, and she was never home. I had to step up and basically be my siblings' mom.
Last time I saw my mom was November of 2008. My mom, when she's mad at me, calls me a traitor to my siblings.
I wish my mom would not just move on, but move forward. Scott is not my father. I do not want a relationship with Scott. There's nothing there.
Okay, we put Lindy on Dad's side because she is the one child that seems to have kind of been on Team Dad, I guess you could say. Her brother Chase is on Mom's side. And apparently these two have some angst between them and have not spoken. You don't speak to your sister?
Not whatsoever. I've tried to reach out to her, but it's been a failed attempt.
Okay.
He insults me every time he tries to talk to me.
Excuse you, do not lie, first of all. And secondly, you need to tell the truth, because if we want to pull things up, every message I've ever sent to you, little girl, has been very polite and very elegant. Excuse you, no one was speaking to you. Don't speak unless spoken to, Scott.
Wait, so, okay, this is
let the ignorant talk, because they don't know that respect means don't speak over people when they're speaking, so go ahead.
I'm not going to let you boss me into not speaking to my dad, that I can speak to both sides. That's disrespectful, and you reply back with that I'm ignorant, stupid, you know, the B word, whatever you want to say.
Would you want to repeat to me your last message to me on Facebook?
You're right.
What did I say to you for you to relash back like that, Lindy?
Let's see.
Lindy
Ignorant,
Kathleen, answer the
bitch,
truth.
A ton of things.
No,
I have the email.
beforehand, because I've got those messages.
I do
We've
too.
got them.
Good.
So why don't you say what I said to you for that backlash? Because I said to you in that message that this message was for me to you, everyone excluded. Everyone excluded. So we could have a relationship.
I would love
Excuse
to bring
you, I
those
let
up.
you speak, I'm speaking.
I would love
Be
to bring those up.
respectful. I know something that someone hasn't taught you that, but my mother taught me that.
Really?
So guess what? While I'm
Really?
speaking, don't speak over me, honey.
You
so
are
you know what? In that message,
You need
I
help.
tried to let you
You
know
need
that
help.
I wanted to just have a relationship with you and that your family loved you.
I don't
and that
want
was
a
it.
relationship with
Everything
you.
apart from it.
The
And
only
that's what you
reason I
got.
wrote back to you
That's exactly
was
right.
because
You
I was
did
peer
not want a
pressured
message.
into it.
You did
I
not
don't
want a relationship. So
with
you say that
So we're done.
politely and in
Okay,
respect.
you have not
We're
seen
done.
your daughter in 5
We
years,
are.
correct?
Correct.
How do you feel seeing her today?
Lonely.
Do you miss your daughter?
Absolutely. I miss every part of her.
No, you don't, because if you did, when I tried to have a relationship with you multiple times, you wouldn't always
The times you
insult
called her
me.
a bitch and you told her that
Every
everything
time
she did
you
against
tried to
was
have a
bad.
relationship
Didn't
with
you
me?
just lecture her about not interrupting and speaking over people?
Well, it's obviously not a rule.
What,
But it's not a rule,
What
so
were you
let's
saying?
set that forth then.
do you miss your daughter?
I do miss my daughter, Lindy.
Do you miss your mother at all?
I do miss my mom.
Do you feel a sense of betrayal by her because she is in a relationship, an active relationship with her father?
I feel a sense of betrayal from Lindy, but it's not because she's in a relationship with him. She left my home and buddied up with Ashley. Now, I get the fact that, you know, my daughter was 16 and he was dating somebody just beyond that. The wedge between Lindy and I became when Ashley was calling. And I was telling Scott, but it didn't stop. It didn't stop there.
Okay.
So I just cut the strings. I just said, no more pain, no more hurt. I've tried to reach out to her a couple of times. It just isn't there anymore. I'm dead. I don't have any more, and I don't want to go through this crap with Scott again.
Have you told your daughter that she cannot see her siblings if she has a relationship with Scott? I am a strong believer that when people come to any relationship, they either they bring things to the relationship. They bring baggage. And they either contribute to the relationship or they contaminate the relationship. There's no neutrality. So I'm going to ask you, I'll start with you, or I can start with Scott, doesn't matter. I'm not picking on one side or the other. Let me ask you, do you feel like, in terms of this family dynamic currently, that you contribute or contaminate this situation?
I probably contaminate
How so?
because I've cleaned up the mess for 4 years and I don't want any more mess. So if it means that I have to bring him back into my world or the kids' world, that's a mess, that's a contamination. Everything about him is pain. Either financially,
wait,
physically, or mentally.
Stop, come on. Listen, this ain't my first rodeo, and what you did is you took that question, you answered it in a genuine way, and then you twisted it into you being a victim.
No,
Yes, you
I just
did.
don't want to deal with his crap ever again.
Okay, so you don't
So
want to
it's a
answer my question.
contamination.
You don't want to answer my question. Because you answered it first, and then you started telling me how you're a
Okay,
victim.
the answer to your question is, I probably contaminate it because it's not that big of an issue anymore for me.
Have you told your daughter that she cannot see her siblings if she has a relationship with Scott?
No, Whitney told me that if I ever decided to get back with Scott, this was way back when.
Okay, is it true or false? Has she told you if you have a relationship with your father that you cannot see your siblings?
Yes, she has.
Okay, now you just told me you did not say that. One of you two is lying.
Say
Yes, you
that.
have.
No, you took a conversation that we got in an argument with, and I told you
Almost
that I
every
was not going to
conversation we
play
have
both
is
sides
an
of the field
argument.
with you. And I'm not.
And you flat out told me, if you choose a relationship with Scott, then I will not allow you to see your
and
sibling.
that was the same conversation you told me that if I had anything to do with him, then I was cut off from you. The same conversation. So I said it goes
you were
both
talking
ways,
about
correct?
wanting to get back with him.
It goes both ways.
You were talking about wanting to get back with him.
I loved
and
him.
How long
I didn't
ago
leave
was
him
this?
because I didn't love him.
How long ago was this?
If I could
All right,
stop for
Melinda,
1 second
hang on.
and say
no,
something.
No, hold on a minute. Listen, I'm asking you to be honest here. If you want to spend your time arguing with her about whether you said it or whether you didn't, then you can spend your time because the clock on the wall is ticking. And I'm asking you if you are contaminating this situation by sabotaging the children's relationship with their father.
Probably.
And it seems to me that you are very bitter towards this man. Now, I'm not defending him. He may be the most toxic man that you have ever met or even thought about meeting. He may be highly toxic. But I'm asking you, has your bitterness towards him in y'all's relationship spilled over to the point that you are sabotaging the relationship with your children towards him?
Maybe with the older children, yes. The younger children, no, we don't even speak of Scott in the house, and that's their rule.
If you guys could say one thing to Scott, what would it be?
I don't love you. You're not my father, and I'll never love you.
If you guys could say one thing to Scott, what would it be?
I don't love you. You're not my father, and I'll never love you. I hate you. You're not my father.
Just paid child support and leave my family alone. Get out of my life.
You're a deadbeat dad, and no one will ever love you. I hate you. Shut up, Scott! Our life doesn't concern you. Stop treating us like we're your kids. We already have a new dad. You cheated on our mom.
Okay, now, what is it? What
Who
is
would
it?
tell the kids that?
All right, what is it that
You think they don't
You're
know
polluting their
about
minds
child
by
support?
telling them that.
You think they don't know
That
that,
is
there's
sick.
no
They
child
are
support being
children.
paid?
They
You
are
think
children.
that? You know what? He hasn't paid
I'm
in
not
2.5 months now.
Listen, I'm going to conduct this interview. I don't care what y'all do. You can filibuster till you're blue in the face. I played that tape because I wanted you to respond to it. And I'm asking you if you believe that that tape is representative of those children expressing thoughts and views that they have come to naturally, or if that's those children expressing views that they have picked up from you.
We don't talk about Scott in the house. Shelby and the children talk about everything. Chase and the children talk about everything. I have been banned from talking about Scott.
Now, Melinda, that would represent to me one of the most blatant and flagrant products of programming that I have ever seen. Those are not the words, vernacular, or nomenclature of children that age expressed about an absent parent. The town fool
What
can
would you
see.
think they would say about an absent parent?
That's not the question.
Do you honestly think that they don't know?
I think
And
a
they were
lot of
there.
it, too, comes down to myself, Kyle, and Chase. I did say, I hate my dad.
Listen, if y'all are telling me that those children, these are just what they've come to on their own,
No, I'm
you have
saying...
absolutely no credibility with me whatsoever. It just absolutely, unequivocally is not true.
I know that
What
some
I
of
would
what they said is from what I've said. They're repeating things that I have said.
And Shelby is very, very angry and very influential
Okay, so
in
you're
them.
telling me that you have no input to what those children are saying.
The first year,
Let her answer the
absolutely.
question, and then I'll let you say
The
what you want to
first
say.
year, absolutely. Scott and I were about ripping each other literally through the phone lines.
So you
through
do
the text
acknowledge
lines.
that you have influenced those children's perceptions
The
of their
first
father.
year, yes.
But then after that, you just said, okay,
We
that's
just
it. I'm
don't
not going to
talk
say anything
about
else.
him anymore at all.
Okay, I find that
He's-
totally non-credible. What do you want to say?
Well, I was going to second what Whitney said, because what you may not know and what you're not understanding is that my
Don't
mother
tell me
was
what I
locked in
don't
her
understand.
room. My mother
Don't tell me
was,
what I don't
I'm trying
understand.
to-
You can
I
condescend to
wasn't
everybody
being
in here,
condescending,
which
sir. I
you
was
have
trying to
since
be-
you walked in here, but don't condescend to me, young man, because you
Okay.
don't know what I don't understand.
But you don't. You don't, because you didn't hear what I said. And like her, you interrupted me before I finished, what I was going to say was, a large part of that came from me when they initially moved back, because my mother was locked in a room. And I wasn't trying to be condescendingly to you saying that you don't understand that. I'm saying that's what's not being understood by everybody for this matter. Because majority of those words actually came from my mouth initially. And then as my mother said, I made the rule that when I'm in the home, we don't speak that name either, or the third name that I'm not going to mention. Because that's how we don't have those problems in the home. But the thing is, the kids still have those implanted in their minds and in their vocabulary. So I'm not trying to be rude to you in any manner. I'm just trying to say what's not being understood is my mom is not completely at fault for this. She's not completely. She's at fault. It takes two to tango. And no fault lies on one person's shoulders. But I'm going to take a vast majority of what those children said to myself, and I'm going to take credit for that.
You were trying to be condescending and rude to me, and it would be a lot better if you would just simply say what you want to say.
I was trying to.
Well, yeah, but you're trying to do it in a condescending way, and that's not helpful.
It's coming off that way, but it's
well, it is.
not
You're using words
that
you don't even really understand. Condescendingly doesn't fit in the sentence where you put it. It just doesn't work. But nonetheless, I get what you're saying. I do believe you and the others have all said very derogatory things about him, and I'm not even saying he doesn't deserve it. What I'm saying is it is inappropriate to program minor children against an absent parent, and it will come back to bite you. It will come back to bite you, because those children grow up, and when they grow up, they parse all of this out, and they recognize that a bitter parent either elicited, maintained, or allowed them to be alienated from an absent parent, even if she was correct. When we come back, Scott's new wife, Ashley, says Melinda is the only reason why this family is fighting. Well, we're going to meet her when we come back.
Melinda pushed Scott and I together with all of her nastiness and ugliness. I don't want to say I hate Melinda, but I do deeply despise her.
Today we're talking to a family who has been at war with each other for 5 years. Melinda says it all started when Scott had an affair and left her and their 10 children for the other woman. Scott says, not true, did not have an affair. He says he just couldn't stand their marriage anymore. He says when they separated, he met 19-year-old Ashley. Somebody's not telling the truth. Take a look.
When Scott and I first met, we were just coworkers. We didn't actually have a relationship until he had moved out of their house. Melinda pushed Scott and I together with all of her nastiness and ugliness. Melinda has harassed me since the beginning. Horrible emails, text messages, and phone calls where Melinda's just like going crazy. Melinda offered to pay Lindy $100 a month to be mean to me so that I would leave. Melinda's doing everything she can to keep Scott from seeing his kids. Scott's tried to fight for his kids multiple times and it's gone nowhere. Melinda tells everyone that Scott hasn't paid child support since 2008. Sure, there's months where we have to survive, but he tries to make up for it the next month. I'd be happy if Scott had a relationship with his kids. They don't need to like me. They don't need to love me. I don't want to say I hate Melinda, but I do deeply despise her.
Did you two have an affair?
No.
Oh, crap. I
Thank
watched you two together after school one day. He was still in the house.
You called me and told me you did. Don't lie.
You,
Talk to me here.
Okay.
Did you or did you two not have a relationship that began while he was still married?
No.
You either did or you didn't. Now look.
It was a business, in the beginning it was a business relationship. Towards the end.
Did you call Chase and tell him?
I did not. The
Yes,
only
you
contact
did.
that Chase and I have ever had has been initiated by Chase. He called my job and was like, oh, I'm going to get you fired and this and that. And until that point, I didn't even know Scott had a son named Chase.
So you never called him because he,
No,
I've said that I think he has kind of an attitude, but he doesn't strike me as somebody who would just out and out lie.
Well, the only contact that Chase and I have ever had has been Chase contacting me.
Did she call you?
Yes, she called me to explain the circumstances between those two.
And what did
the
she
fact
say?
that she said that my mother was not, Scott was not happy with my mother, and so that he was going to her. And this is during their still marriage, before even the legal separation, and that is your exact verbatim words. That Scott wasn't happy with my mother, and that's why he was with you.
We honestly did not have that conversation.
Really?
The only conversation
'Cause I
that
can
Chase
tell
and
you
I
where I
had over the
was.
phone was Chase called my job.
I didn't call your job, you called me. Honey, get that right in the first place.
You did not call
I've
Chase?
never called Chase.
Okay.
You didn't call him
You
and
can't argue with
explain
somebody
why
who
the two of you
obviously
were...
thinks that they're true.
Just didn't happen. He's just
she
totally
told me-
fabricating this.
Face to face that she was not with my dad. The very next night, I parked across the street and watched you two together. So please tell me again
What were
how
we
you
doing?
weren't with him.
What were we doing
You were
together?
holding hands. Then as he got ready to leave right after I called him, you guys kissed. Again, tell us again how you weren't with him.
Oh, that's
Please.
Not to mention your lie to me directly
hold on.
the morning that you left
All
my
right,
mother.
Look, you guys, listen, you don't know how to have a debate here.
No.
I would like you to respond to that. Did that happen?
It did not. The only time that Scott and I were together was after he moved out of Melinda's house.
So she...
It might happen
I'm a liar,
today.
apparently.
Is that what you just said?
So she is lying as well?
I guess.
No, you guess.
I mean,
You either are or you're
You
not.
are.
Which,
Yes,
okay,
you are.
You're right.
Okay, so she's lying and he's lying.
yes.
We might have been in the same room together. We might have even
You were
held hands.
outside.
We might have even kissed. At this point, it's not fresh in my mind. We were never intimate until after I left.
You told me
Plain and
before the
simple.
legal separation that you had been intimate with her. You told me that
Actually, we were
you're
riding
wrong.
in the car that day you said that.
The night you told me that you
guys
left her, you
you're
said you were
wrong.
going to a hotel parking lot, and then 2 seconds later, I got a
hotel
picture of
parking lot.
you in Walmart with that little girl.
I was
Because,
in Walmart.
Ashley, how old are you, honey?
I was in,
Chase was not in
You're just
our
about
life.
as
do you
old
know?
as I am.
Do you know what's funny?
If you want one of my
your
girlfriends,
mom
you could date
was
them.
half
They
as
don't look
mature
like that.
as she is, we'd still be married, bud.
No.
Then did you have an affair before you were divorced?
Well, technically, I would have to say yes, because when I left the house, I was still married.
Right.
And when we were legally separated, I was just separated. But it wasn't till I left
It
the house.
can't hurt anymore.
Hey, I'm not
You
trying to
can't
hurt you.
anymore.
I don't have to hurt you. You do enough of your own hurt. I don't need to damage you.
Really?
You're
'Cause
already
the only one
damaged.
You
that
already
looks like they're
did
hurt
enough.
physically is you.
Yeah, well,
She looks
you look
great.
a little
You look-
painful.
That's my father. Perfect.
Wait
Great.
a minute, you just told me I
send
wasn't
them
your
out
father.
all the
Exactly. That's what
time.
I'm trying to prove. Just don't.
So you have 6 small children at home.
I don't. She does.
Do you?
I don't. No. First, well,
That's been his whole
physically,
thing
I
since
don't-
the
I don't
day he
have-
was with her.
physically, I don't
That's
have-
been the whole thing.
I don't have children at home.
Do you feel a connection to those children?
At this point, I don't. No.
They're your children.
They are my children. Yes. I miss them, but I still have to live my life. I can't live in the past.
Life goes on, you know, just like time, everything passes. But the thing is that you obviously didn't care enough, and you say you hated my mother so much that you didn't love your family. But you know,
Just
what
like when you
point?
left the
excuse
house.
me.
Do
Excuse
you remember
me.
you leaving
At
the
what
house in
point
Missouri?
in time did you not
Do you
realize?
remember you leaving the house in Missouri? You were screaming, yelling, and bailed out of the house, 16 years old.
Are you finished?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You're not going to sit
Well,
here and berate me like you're so much better.
I'm
The
not.
reality is
I'm
you
waiting
left
for
too.
you to stop
and
interrupting.
now all of a sudden she's the, Lord and
I left
Savior.
because you punched me in the face.
Okay, we're going to take a break here, and all right, Ashley has something to say when we come back.
Scott and Ashley did get married July 20th, 2012, and there are rumors that they're going to have kids. I pray they never do.
If I could say one thing to Ashley, I would probably tell her that she's a whore and she's a homewrecker, and that my family was destroyed by her decision to mess with something that didn't belong to her.
Honestly, my feeling with Ashley is if she caught on fire and there was a glass of water, I'd drink it before I poured it on her.
Well, there is so much bitterness here, and the problem I have with all of this is you guys all think this vitriol and bitterness is just aimed at the other people, but the truth is, it changes who you are. Now, Scott's new wife, Ashley, says this family feud has to stop because she wants to start her own family with Scott and wants his 10 children to be part of their child's life. Do you two plan to start a family?
Yeah, I'm actually pregnant now.
So you're now going to have 11 children.
Yes. No, he'll have one. Two. You're right.
And how do you feel about that? Does it matter to you one way or the other?
I really don't care anymore.
Look, life's about choices. And the first house that you have to clean is your own. And not even God can change what has happened, but we're here now. And when I said that when you fill your heart with bitterness and anger, it changes who you are. It permeates every bit of you. So you can have hatred and bitterness towards Scott, but it changes who you are as a mother and a friend and a sister. It changes in every walk of life. And at some point, you have to say, look, I got to turn this loose. If he is the biggest jerk, if she is the biggest jerk, you know, whatever, at some point, you've got to lay that burden down and say, it is what it is. I won't let him, I won't let her control me for the rest of my life. I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to be healthy. And for you kids to be choosing up sides against each other, and for you parents to cause division between them because of what's going on between the two of you, it is so unfair. This is your sister. This is your brother. You two should know each other and support each other. And you don't have to like everything he does to love him. You don't have to like everything she does, thinks, feels, and believes to love her. Every situation needs a hero. Be the bigger person here. Be the hero that steps up and says, you know what? I'm going to be the healer here. I'm going to be the one that extends the olive branch and says, look, come on, let's be all inclusive. Let's find a way. And maybe not with him, maybe not with her. Maybe you two go your separate ways and don't ever see each other ever again. But you kids close ranks. Find some common ground. Choose to be happy. Be a healer in this family. And I will make available, if necessary, an army of family therapists to come in and broker a peace among and between any and all of you that will sit down and help this, just as our gift to this family, because you need it and you deserve it. Okay? And you've stood by your beliefs with your dad, and I admire your strength in doing that. But I also want you to have your brothers and sisters in your life. I don't want you to be.
We love you so much, Lindy. We all love you. And I'm so sorry you're hurting, and that's why I talk to you.
Talk to me! Don't talk to me!
I will talk to you until the day I die because I love you and you are my sister, and this is what you need to hear.
At some point, you got to at least be willing to give it a try. Just, you got to be willing
not about them,
to take
it's about
an
us.
inch, just an inch to try.
But, okay.
Just an inch to try. We'll be right back. Look, there is life after divorce, but you have to create it, and you have to be an example for your children. What kind of mom or dad do you think your kids are experiencing when you're sitting around bitter, crying, fighting, and looking over your shoulder at what was instead of what is and what needs to be created? At some point, you have to say, look, this is what it is. You have to say, look, I got to put my kids' needs above my own. And you want to support their relationship with your partner, your ex-partner. You'll be glad you did in the long run. For more information and resources, log on to drphil.com. Thanks so much for being here, and know that we support you guys. And as I said, I'll provide resources to help you. And I mean, if it's time to sit down and try to get some of this bitterness out, or to kind of broker a peace among some of you, then we'll make that available to try to help this family and heal it. Remember, you got 6 at home that are trying to navigate all of this, and they deserve it. And I appreciate everybody's candor here today, each and every one of you, okay? Thanks a lot. So long. Thanks, guys. See y'all.
Today on Dr. Phil.
So you were a pimp.
That's the way you want to call it.
How is that not prostitution?
The soccer mom madam is back.
Back in September, I went way out of my way to fly to New York, sit down and talk with you. You were investigated for running a $15 million call girl ring.
I have a matchmaking company.
Everything you said to me then was complete lie.
And this time,
come on, wink, wink, silent understanding. You and I both know the silent understanding is they're going to go have sex. Are you guilty of promoting prostitution?
Absolutely.
She comes clean.
What's the most money you ever made in a month off of this?
Super Bowl weekend was amazing. I made like...
Plus,
I would like to say something.
the shocking revelation.
You recently made some people nervous when you told the media you were going to reveal some very big names to me.
That could change people's lives.
A high-level NFL management, an older football player who's still very well known. Tune in to Dr. Phil. Let's do it. Why don't we stop all the drama, stop all the fighting, and let's go get you better.
Here we go. Have a good show, everybody.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, free. Take it.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. She's been dubbed by the press as the New York soccer mom madam. Just weeks ago, Anna Gristina made headlines again when she promised the world she was going to reveal to me the names of high-level NFL executives and a prominent former NFL player who may have been included in her supposed black book in an exclusive interview. It was nearly a year ago when Anna first made headlines when she was arrested, standing accused of running a multi-million-dollar prostitution empire out of an Upper East Side Manhattan apartment. Anna's supposed client black book was allegedly filled with elite and high-profile Manhattan names and, according to news reports, could open the door to massive law enforcement corruption.
Tonight, a 44-year-old mother is busted, accused of running a brothel on the Upper East Side.
Scandal strikes suburbia. Anna Gristina allegedly made as much as $10 million from a prostitution ring over the last 15 years.
Gristina, they say, ran what amounted to a brothel out of this Upper East Side apartment.
Prosecutors say their undercover investigation blew this mom's secret world wide open.
The district attorney says her clients were so rich, so powerful, a wealthy financier with interests in real estate and pro sports, a member of a politically prominent family in Manhattan. Gristina says she's repeatedly told prosecutors she can't help.
I said, I'm not ratting on my friends. I won't give them what they want.
After spending about 4 months in jail, Gristina was released from Rikers Island Tuesday evening after finally reaching a deal over her bail package.
I'm absolutely not guilty of the crime that I'm being accused of. I will fight till the day that I die.
After spending 4 months in jail and finding herself at the center of a 5-year undercover investigation, Anna Gristina was out on bail, seemingly confined to her home with an ankle bracelet. She faced 1 felony count of promoting prostitution in the 3rd degree and was set for trial, facing up to 7 years in jail and possible deportation. I flew to her home in upstate New York to ask the question everyone wanted to know in an exclusive interview.
The accused Upper East Side madam is telling her side of the story to Dr. Phil.
You say you're ready to speak out. Why me? Why now?
I watch your shows and you cater predominantly to families and therapy. And this whole event has decimated my family.
What we know now is you were investigated for 5 years, saying that you're running a $15 million call girl ring.
I have a matchmaking company that I had just started. There's nothing improper or illegal about it.
They say that you have an apartment on the Upper East Side on 78th Street, and that during this 5 years, this apartment was used sometimes with underage girls to have sexual encounters there with powerful men in Manhattan. What do you say about that?
Dr. Felt, let me address that. That is
true.
Categorically untrue. We've not seen a shred of evidence to that.
She can say that.
I don't want you asking my client about sex with underage children.
We can shut it down right now. I don't care.
It's a standard procedure to vilify you in the public. They just picked me off the street, threw me in Rikers, called me a pedophile, almost got me killed, and have ruined my life. The word
You're saying
pedophile
there's
is
absolutely, unequivocally nothing to that allegation whatsoever.
nothing on my children's life.
Why was this judge so harsh with you? $2 million bail for one count of third-degree prostitution?
They have an agenda to get me to talk about a certain person.
Why not give them the name?
I have a deep sense of loyalty. I don't want to put the nail in somebody that was very dear to me's coffin.
What is it they want you to tell them?
I don't know. My family taught me, stand by your principles. And I truly believe the truth is going to come out in the end.
I felt that Anna's story was filled with some untruths, and I wasn't convinced that she was telling the whole story. There was more to the story than she was leading me to believe, and sure enough, just 3 weeks after my visit, a kernel of truth was revealed.
Today, the so-called Upper East Side madam stunned everyone by pleading guilty.
Anna Christina walked out of court a convicted criminal admitting her guilt in the brothel bust.
Christina pleaded guilty to a single count of promoting prostitution. The judge asking, is it true that you arranged through text, phone, or email to arrange a sexual encounter between a man and 2 prostitutes which you employed? Yes, sir, said Christina. Her lawyer claims she only did it to protect certain people.
To successfully defend this case would have required permitting me to hurt people close to Miss Christina.
It is sentencing day for the woman accused of running a prostitution ring.
Anna Christina walked into court a final time to be sentenced after pleading guilty to 1 count of promoting prostitution. In a statement this morning, prosecutors said, quote, there was nothing glamorous about prostitution. Anna Christina rented women's bodies for profit, which makes her a pimp. Anna Christina walked free, sentenced to time already served.
So, what is the truth? Anna is here and says she is willing to stop telling lies and be 100% honest with me. Plus, what are the names Anna is going to reveal? Are they going to send shockwaves through the NFL? Anna is backstage, and after all the scrutiny, doesn't feel comfortable being in front of an audience. So I'm going to speak with her privately in the green room. Now, when you and I met the last time, you denied that you had been involved in soliciting prostitution. You denied that the women that I asked you about were call girls. Let's take a look at what was said. Here's what the indictment states. During the period from on or about July 18th, 2011 to on or about July 27th, 2011, knowingly advanced and profited from prostitution by managing, supervising, controlling, and owning, either alone or in association with others, a prostitution business and enterprise involving prostitution activity by 2 or more prostitutes. What do you say about that?
We'd like to see the evidence. I have a matchmaking company that I had just started with a partner, and you know, we were working really hard doing promotional parties and events and things. We had no business. I couldn't even pay my bills.
Promotional parties for?
These were matchmaking parties. They were all over New York City. There's nothing improper or illegal about it.
Okay. Was that a lie?
No, that's the truth.
So you weren't doing prostitution? So what you told me there was the truth. Yet on the 25th of September, you accepted a plea deal and you pleaded guilty to promoting prostitution.
Yes.
So which is it? You were promoting prostitution or you weren't?
I know I promoted prostitution in the eyes of the law, and I took the deal for other reasons, to keep other people out of the trial. And that's the true story.
I ask you if those women were prostitutes, and you had this to say about that. Do you know Maz Batone or Catherine DeVries?
Absolutely.
Who are they?
2 girls that registered with us as girls who were looking for placement.
They were arrested as alleged call girls,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
Are they?
No.
Okay, so everything you said to me then at that table in your home, eye to eye, was complete lie.
Coming up.
You're insulting my intelligence.
I am not insulting your
Yes, you are.
intelligence.
Come on, wink, wink, silent understanding. You and I both know the silent understanding is they're going to go have sex. That's what they're buying. They're buying sex.
And later.
You recently made a lot of headlines, and I think some very powerful people very nervous when you told the media that you were going to reveal some very big names to me.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, madam.
The last time we were at your home, everything you said to me then at that table in your home, eye to eye, was complete lie.
A good part of it was, but there were certain aspects that were not. Like Maz Batone was introduced to somebody and she became the ongoing girlfriend for a monthly allowance. And Catherine DeVries was the same situation. The 2 girls who were seeing this one man on an ongoing basis where I did not profit from it.
Okay, were you and Jane May Baker caught on tape arranging for Catherine DeVries to have sex with another prostitute in your East Side apartment for an undercover cop?
We definitely set up a date. The gentleman said, "Does this include sex?" We said, "Absolutely not, it's companionship." Did we know it could happen? Yes, but we still did not say it or promote it.
Did that undercover officer ask you, did he need to bring condoms, and did you say, "We've got that covered"?
I said, "Absolutely not." He asked, "Do I need to bring condoms?" I said, "No, just bring yourself."
Let me speak to your attorney, Norm, on Polycom. Norm, is
Yes,
she
sir.
being honest with me here?
I think in this case, the undercover officer met Anna and Janie Mae Baker. The tapes reflect that he thought he was buying companionship at $2,000 an hour. It's inconceivable to me that the man thought he was buying a dinner date. He turned up. There was a remark about a condom, Dr. Phil, and, and Anna's version is correct, that he didn't need to bring one. She didn't say that she's got it covered. I think in that instance there was evidence sufficient to convict her for prostitution, but the circumstantial evidence makes it clear, and I think would have made it clear to a jury that that man paid to play.
Okay, but you're still denying that you were running a prostitution ring. Is that right? I'm just asking.
No, I facilitated this older man meeting with somebody compatible, and they had ongoing relationships. I used to get a one-time fee for the introduction. Sometimes it was a retainer from the gentleman because he would meet various women. But I've never owned an escort service or a bordello. That's just something that's so low below the level of what I was comfortable of doing. But yes, older men meet with younger, beautiful women with an expectation of sex. I never, ever once said
But you think
to them,
that's the moral high ground? I mean, you're saying that what you did was classier than that. You're renting women's bodies. You think that's classier than what you described? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
That's some way-
facilitating to educated people who have a drive and a desire to meet a certain situation. I facilitated that. I have never once, ever once said to somebody, "You must go have sexual relations for money." I have never once said to a gentleman, "You can have sex for money." I knew what was going on. I mean, it just wasn't something MD ever talked about.
So you're saying that you were facing a 7-year prison sentence because you had a high-end sugar daddy service?
I feel I faced a high-level jail sentence because certain people that I was affiliated with had some enemies in the district attorney's office politically, and I was collateral damage.
It's been reported that the judge asked Is it true that you arranged through text, phone, or email a sexual encounter between a man and 2 prostitutes, which you employed?
Yes.
Is it true that you profited from this sexual encounter?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so you went into court under oath, answered those questions in the affirmative. But now here, you say, no, that's not true.
I'm not denying it.
Yes, you are.
Money exchanged hands
Wait a
for
minute,
pleasure.
Wait a minute. You are denying it because I asked you, were you arranging sex for money? And you said no. So you were either lying then or you're lying now.
No, there's an in-between which you're not hearing. And never once in all my years have I asked a girl to have sex for money. It was something that was a silent understanding. They all knew why they were there. They wanted money. They wanted to meet rich people. And I profited from it. But when you go before the judge, I took the plea deal. They had been offering me immunity right up until then. And I declined because it hurt people that I really love and care about. No, this is the truth.
You're insulting my intelligence.
I am not insulting your
intelligence. Yes, you are. You're insulting my intelligence. I'm going to split hairs with you, Dr. Phil, and say, okay, for $2,000, I'm setting up someone for drinks. And some guy's going to pay $2,000 to have a cocktail in the lobby of a hotel with someone. Come on, wink, wink, silent understanding. You and I both know the silent understanding is they're going to go have sex. That's what they're buying. They're buying sex from this person. You know it. You said in court under oath. Did you perjure yourself when you said yes in court?
No, I took a plea deal to protect other people.
Okay. So
and
you
I would
lied
do it
to
again.
protect other people.
I accept responsibility.
You can't say yes then and no now. There aren't versions of the truth, Anna. It's either yes or it's no.
Okay, so I'm totally guilty on that aspect.
Okay, of course you are. Everybody knows that. Look, back in September, I personally went way out of my way to fly to New York, drive up to your home, beautiful by the way, sit down and talk with you and your family. You looked me in the eye and lied to me then. Are you sitting here lying to me again? It was my understanding you're going to tell me the truth.
Absolutely.
Now you've sat down and lied to me again. Why?
Coming up.
This doesn't sound like people test driving girls for a long-term relationship. Sounds to me like they come in for a Super Bowl weekend and you hook them up with a hooker. So you were a pimp.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, madam.
You looked me in the eye and lied to me then. Are you sitting here lying to me again? It was my understanding you're going to tell me the truth.
Absolutely.
Now you've sat down and lied to me again. Why?
I don't feel that I'm lying. What I did was I worked with a handful of very wealthy men who were looking for companionship and girlfriends. Absolutely, I knew what happened. But I just didn't feel that responsibility because it was never asked to me. I wasn't making money per hour. I would make an introduction and he would throw me, thank you for the introduction, here's a few dollars. It was just done in such a different way.
Are you guilty of soliciting or promoting prostitution?
Absolutely, in the eyes of the law.
In the eyes of the law. But you qualify that because you're saying not really.
I personally, what I feel and what the law feels, be difference of opinion. Because I never solicited that directly from a woman to a man or a man to a woman, I never felt I was doing something wrong.
Were the women in your employ women that had sex for money?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you have women that they're not physical therapists, they're not registered nurses, they're not people that do other skills, they're prostitutes. They're people that do sex for money, right? They're call girls. They pled guilty for being prostitutes,
Many
right?
of them were very educated, and yes, I had a couple of doctors at work, I had a couple of accountants, I had one who worked for the IRS.
But they weren't doing your books.
No.
They were going between the sheets.
Yes.
So, come on. That's what I mean about insulting my intelligence.
It's not insulting. You want a black and a white answer.
I just want the
truth.
truth.
I lived in a gray area. I have nothing to hide. I pleaded guilty. What more can I do than plead guilty?
Are you guilty of promoting prostitution? You say yes in the eyes of the law. So you carve out that maybe you're not. You say your matchmaking business started legitimately,
Which
but
it
it
did.
turned into something else.
Yes.
You admit that it turned
Yeah,
into something.
absolutely.
What else did it turn into?
It started off where people would come to me and some of them would be married. I'm looking for some companionship. I'm very lonely, but I don't want the complications of somebody trying to ruin my life. You know, and I realized there was a niche for that, especially with their men in their 40s. So what I did was, you know, I started like kind of surfing around and saying to women, you know, I have a gentleman, he's older, he's married, he's looking to meet somebody, have you got an interest? And the overwhelming response was absolutely. So I started that as the sugar daddy business. But then what happened was, you know, sometimes people don't want a commitment for 6 months or a year. So they want to say, can I test run and go away for a weekend? And then, of course, the girl doesn't want to go for free, so she wants to make sure she's taken care of. And that's how it all started.
How many women did you have in your employ?
I would say at any given time, 50 to 100 globally, but they didn't work every week, every month. But
How much money did you make from this?
Oh, I might make anywhere from 600 for the induction to 1,000 for the introduction, and I might get 2 in that week. Then I might get nothing for 3 weeks, and then I might get 4 in 1 week. There is no formula, but it was very slow. I made a little living, not $50 million. That was all hyped up. I mean, you saw how I live. I lived in a $300,000 house. I had a basic mortgage to pay. I mean, it was very basic.
What's the most money you ever made in a month off of this?
Oh, I think a bumper of a month. A bumper was like Super Bowl weekend was amazing. I made a lot of money.
Yeah, and so for weekends, this doesn't sound like people test driving girls for a long-term relationship. Sounds to me like they come in for a Super Bowl weekend and you hook them up with a hooker.
Yeah.
So you were a pimp.
Coming up.
I do want to set the record straight.
And later.
You've certainly maligned her, impugned Anna, and called her a liar on national television. I think you need to own what you're doing here.
There's no conjecture there. There's nothing circumstantial there. She admitted that she lied to me.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, Madam.
For weekends, this doesn't sound like people test driving girls for a long-term relationship. Sounds to me like they come in for a Super Bowl weekend and you hook them up with a hooker.
Yeah.
So you were a pimp.
That's the way you want to call it, yeah.
I mean, you set them up for an overnight at Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How is that not prostitution?
You know, there's different levels of it. I mean, you know,
whatever level, how is that not prostitution?
you have 2 consenting adults who are calling you, please set me up, and you put them together. It just never felt criminal when I did it. It felt like it was doing something nice. I didn't make the money that everybody thinks I did. If a girl made $2,000, I made 20%. That's not a lot of money by the time you pay overheads and expenses, photographers and that. It made enough to give me an income. Sometimes there would be months where there would be no business. And then boom, you would get a burst of business.
But you do understand, by any yardstick, a guy saying, I'm coming in for the weekend, and you say, I got a girl for $2,000, they'll spend the night with you at the hotel, and you rake off a percentage, that's pimping.
You got it. And then that's...
I mean, is there any other way to define that?
No.
Okay, just so we are clear. So you didn't lie in court. That's what you were doing.
Yes.
Okay, it just took a while to get there, but I just wanted to be sure we were clear. Now,
I just wish you could be able to decipher the difference between what's really out there in the adult industry and what we did was completely different. You know, there was
Well, you didn't wear a hat with a feather and drive a Cadillac. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, I've done so many good things for so many of the girls, helped them find homes, put them in rehabs, the ones who were in drugs. I mean, you don't hear about any of that. You hear the word pimp and you think of standing on the street corner with girls with high heels and ripped stockings and beating them for money. It's just, this was a regular matchmaking thing, except we were matching money with beauty, and they were comfortable, and so was the gentleman. It was a victimless crime.
Norm, did you want to say something?
I mean, I think what Anna has been involved in and what she has described is marketing the ambiguity of sex appeal. Did Anna take profit from that? Yes. Did she arrange it? Yes. Were people willing participants? Yes. Is it a crime as a matter of law? Yes. I think when Anna says she's guilty in the eyes of the law, there's no question she knew what was going on with the undercover cop.
Thank you. Now, this 78th Street apartment, they had said this was a place that you were having these assignations. This is a picture of the building.
But I do want to set the record straight. This was never a bordello. It was not a house of ill repute. I had an apartment where girls who were coming in from out of town needed a place to live. I had a handful of girlfriends who had sugar daddies, who had boyfriends at home and were married, and would say, "Can I borrow your apartment?" And because I was nice, I said, "Absolutely." And it was never set up for that.
Is this where you were nice enough to have the peep show for the undercover?
Yes.
This is where I get confused, because you say, "Oh, look, this wasn't involved in any of this. I was just being nice to let some of the girls stay there." Then I say, "Well, this is where you had the peep show with the undercover cop?" "Oh, yeah."
Dr. Phil, sometimes there's not an answer that's yes or no. Sometimes there is an answer that is in between. It was not set up with the intent of a bordello.
Okay,
I would have moved to a different place if it was.
No, that I do believe. You still have this place?
No.
Okay. You said you had 50 to 100 girls on the roster at the most?
Well, there was a global roster between London and here, and having a roster means you hand select the people that you feel that you would have success in placing, that really had that look, they were well-groomed, they were educated, and you would put them on file. You might not speak to them for 6 months because they might not be flavor of the month. You know, so when I say we had a big database, an active database would be more like 10 per week or 15 per week. I don't want to say I had 100 people working for me. I didn't have 100 jobs a year. If I was lucky, I would have that. But I had 100 options for that one job that would come along. And that's how this industry works.
Now, I want to go back to one of the first things you said to me when we spoke back in September. Let's take a look at what was said. You say you're ready to speak out. Why me? Why now?
I watch your shows, and you cater predominantly to families and therapy, and this whole event has decimated my family.
Whose fault is that your family's under so much pressure?
I believe there was a political agenda. I was pulled off the street by the corruption unit.
You said that the family has been decimated by everything that has happened, and you really took no ownership of it. You said it was just because of the political agenda. I sat down with your children. They defended you to me.
Yeah.
They said, "We know she's not involved in this. We know she's done nothing wrong." Do you feel like you have betrayed them, that you have let them down?
Coming up.
Now I want to talk about some of the men involved. You recently made a lot of headlines, and I think some very powerful people very nervous when you told the media that you were going to reveal some very big names to me.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, Madam.
You said that the family has been decimated by everything that has happened. Do you feel like you have betrayed them, that you have let them down?
I do. If I could take anything back in life and throw myself under the bus for it, I would. But I never had that business around them. I kept that private from them. I didn't want them to have that worry. I took ownership of that. It's not fair to do that to my family. It really wasn't.
But you did.
It has, yes. Not with any intent. If I could take it all back, I would.
Now I want to talk about some of the men involved. But before we do that, you understand that your credibility has really been damaged here.
That's understood.
Because I sat down with you, and not just to me, but everybody, you denied. And then you walked into court and said, yep, I did it. Even when you were going into court, you said to the media, there will be no plea deal here today. And then you walked right into, no, let me make my speech.
We didn't know there was going to be a plea deal.
Let's say you're completely telling me the truth, that you never intended or at least knowingly solicited or promoted sex. You just matched people up, but you knew sex was going on. How would you know that?
Common sense, very wealthy men, midlife crisis, unhappy at home.
But how do you know what happened in the room?
Nobody would discuss it. It was a cardinal rule. You don't discuss it. And by not discussing it, you're not partaker of the crime. You know, in my book.
I'm making your argument now. How would you know what actually happened in the room?
You
wouldn't. The girls never told you.
Yep.
You don't have video.
No.
You don't have audio.
No.
You don't know what happened in that room.
No.
Okay, you recently made a lot of headlines, and I think some very powerful people very nervous when you told the media that you were going to reveal some very big names to me. In fact, you were quoted as saying, everyone's going to have to watch Dr. Phil. I will tell you that one of the names is a high-level NFL management. Then there's an older football player who's still very well known. Tune in to Dr. Phil. Now, here's what I have to say about that. I do not want or intend to use my platform to divulge those names or to smear any of the people that would be involved in this sort of thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. I don't think that you have credible information that could be reliably depended upon. I am not about putting out salacious information about people that could or would ruin their lives. I'm not going to ask you to divulge those names. That's not who I am. I don't think that's what we want to do here.
I would like to say something.
Coming up.
When it comes time to put your skin in the game, you back off and you say, that's just circumstantial. I'm not going to serve as a platform. But you can use your platform to call my client a liar.
There's nothing in conjecture about her lying.
Did.
She said, I lied to you when you were at my house. She admitted that she lied to me.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, Madam.
I'm not going to ask you to divulge those names. That's not who I am. I don't think that's what we want to do here.
I would like to say something. Somebody that I cared about for 22 years claimed through his attorney to my attorney, he was in total support of me. Somebody that I loved very much, somebody who was like a father to me, okay? And I took the plea deal to keep his name out because the district attorney had filed a sealed document with his name all over it. The only way I could keep his name out of it was by taking the guilty plea. It would have ruined his family and his life. When I said that thing, it was a 20-second blurb. I had just learned from my attorney that the other person's attorney wouldn't even return our calls after I took the plea deal. You know, do you know how devastating that is?
You protected
no, it's
someone,
really, yes.
and then they cut you off.
Cut me off. They totally just threw me under the bus after 22 years of a relationship. And I'm angry and I'm hurt. And I'm still coming to terms with that somebody that I really trusted with my life. And I took the course of legalities and took responsibility
to keep him out of it. Everything has been taken away. I'm starting my life from scratch. So yeah, I'm angry. And I said that stupid thing, but I won't give names because people trusting me. But at the moment when I said that, I was crushed. I mean, look what they did to my life and my family's life. You know, it's changed it forever. I didn't want that.
I mean, are you the victim here? Come
No,
on.
I have my part in it, but I did not deserve what the district attorney did to me. They needed a juicy, sexy scandal, and this person was one of them.
Again, that's a place I don't want to go, and I don't think it's in your best interest. At this point, this is over for you. It's time served. You are on probation.
It isn't over, though, Dr. Phil.
But
It's
you're
just
on probation,
beginning. I
and
face
hopefully
deportation.
you're not going to be deported.
No, I faced deportation. And the very person that I stuck up for, he was the one who said he would do everything he can to help me with deportation. There's no money left for lawyers for deportation. They can come at any moment.
Norm, did you want to add something in here?
There is truth to what she says. There was some very explosive information. There is someone that Anna loves a great deal and has loved for a long time. I think you hit on the issue, Dr. Phil. When you say to Anna you don't want to hear the names because there's no direct evidence, we could have stood in front of a jury and challenged it to draw the circumstantial inferences that I think are reasonable. It would have been a huge risk. But I was sort of surprised that you came out, I won't say swinging, but came out as forceful as you did, asking for yeses or nos and accused Anna of lying, and then took a different position by saying, well, you know, I don't want to get involved in the controversy because it's all circumstantial. This always was a circumstantial case. Even at the moment of the peep show, it was an unperfected act on the officer's part. Do I think there was a substantial risk of conviction? Absolutely. I think Ms. Christina was wise to take the plea.
Well, I think she's wise to take the plea. And Norm, the reason that I came out and asked for some clear answers about this is because she blatantly lied to me when we sat down before. And she represented to me that when this trial was over, she would tell me straight up. And when somebody tells me that they got a roster of 50 to 100 girls that they're setting up for $2,000 an hour for coffee or drinks, I mean, come on.
Can you really have it both ways? Can you say to her, well, come on, you know, everybody knows what you're doing, and then turn and say, well, I don't want to name names and get involved in the dispute myself because it's all just circumstantial and I'm not going to malign or impugn somebody. You've certainly maligned or impugned Anna and called her a liar on national television. I think you need to own what you're doing here, and it's not there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's what made this case so attractive to the public and so compelling. And we're all crazy about sex. These guys weren't paying for $2,000 an hour games of tiddlywinks. They were playing to get between the sheets, as you said. I think what Anna's trying to say is she tried to operate a high-class operation. She didn't have people with sandwich boards walking down Times Square, but everybody that was involved in this knew what they were doing and had eyes wide open. Is that prostitution? Does that make her a pimp? I really was offended by the DAs calling her a pimp. The way they behaved toward her in the course of these proceedings, a secret interrogation, offers of a deal in exchange for names, that's a story that I think needs to get told.
Well, you and I always seem to get in these esoteric conversations, but
they're not so esoteric.
Well, I think it is esoteric when you say that it's circumstantial for me to suggest that she's a liar.
You told her that you didn't want to get involved naming the names because she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that, and undermining the effectiveness of what you did in the beginning of the show. When it comes time to put your skin in the game, you back off and you say, oh, wait, that's just circumstantial. I'm not going to serve as a platform. But you can use your platform to call my client a liar, but you can't own the very controversy or the very thing you accuse her of.
I'll use this platform to acknowledge that she is a liar because she has admitted that she lied to me. Listen, there's nothing in conjecture about her lying. She said, I lied to you when you were at my house. I told you one thing, I went and told the court another. There's no conjecture there. There's nothing circumstantial there. She admitted that she lied to me.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the soccer mom, Madam.
There's nothing in conjecture about her lying. She said, I lied to you when you were at my house. I told you one thing, I went and told the court another. There's no conjecture there. There's nothing circumstantial there. She admitted that she lied to me.
You want the story. You want the sex that sells. You want to put this on top national television because everybody wants to know about sex in our country. We're crazy about it. But when it comes time to put your skin in the game, you take the same move that Anna did. You can't prove it, so I'm not going to get involved. What does that make you?
It makes me responsible. You know as well as I do that she can't know what happened in those rooms. She can't know that.
Well, if she can't know that, how do you call her a liar? Wouldn't the honest answer be, I have no idea? Didn't she try to tell you that any number of ways?
You're comparing apples and oranges. I said she was a liar because she told me one thing and told the court another, and you know it.
Dr. Phil, I was also going through a criminal trial where I faced deportation, and I did.
And you still do?
Yeah, and I did take you outside and say, when time goes on, there's more things I'd like to tell you about, which I'm trying to do now.
But you told me...
on national television, I could be going to jail. Hi, Dr. Phil. I knowingly facilitated prostitution. Really? Do you really think that would not have hurt me in my court case?
When we walked outside, you made accusations against a lot of officials.
Yes, which we have proof.
Well, you don't have proof. If you have proof, bring it forward. Go charge these people with corruption, Anna. The forum for that is not some talk show on your lawn.
We know that.
The forum for that is to bring it forth, charge these people with corruption.
And we are working towards that.
Well, then that's what you need to do, and I will cover that as well. And I will let Norm be there, and I will cheer him on if he brings that case forward. And he will be proud of the coverage I give. And I'll bet you that if you stick with old Norm there, he'll bring them out. I wish you the best. I hope you don't get to be targeted by a deportation action. And I hope this long-term relationship, I hope that works out for you. I mean, I hope you don't get stonewalled in that, because you took one for the team in that regard, obviously. So I hope that works out for you. I truly do.
Thank you.
Today on Dr. Phil. At 10, he killed his own father.
You put a gun to his head and you pulled the trigger.
I was forced to do it. His stepmother was convicted.
She recruited you to do this. If you said no, what happened?
She would torture me, burn me with a lighter.
Where was his birth mother?
I really thought he was going to have a good childhood.
I had no childhood. Judith tortured me for years.
How could you turn a child over to her? Some say blood runs thicker than water, but unfortunately that is not always the case. My first guest was only 10 years old when he took a gun into his father's room and shot him point blank in the head while he was asleep. He says years of abuse led up to the killing, not from his dad, but from his stepmother. Take a look.
I was 10 years old when I shot my father to death. My father remarried to Judith when I was 5 or 6 years old. I was abused and tortured nearly every day by Judith. Judith would spank me, beat me, throw me around. She also would make me eat feces. When there were bruises on me, she would make me lay in a bathtub with ice water for hours to bring down the swelling. When I would try to get out of it, she would usually hold my head under the water. My teachers would sometimes see bruises on my arms and around my neck, and Judith would make me wear long sleeves and turtlenecks in the middle of summer. That's why she began abusing my genitals. Judith would burn me with a lighter on my genital area. She would twist and pull. Judith had convinced my father that I was a problem child. She would wake me up in the middle of the night and say, "Go grab a cup of water and throw it on your dad." I couldn't tell her no. I would just be beaten more. I was completely brainwashed by Judith. I had to do everything she said, including killing my father.
Well, I know it is hard to wrap your mind around this, but Corey says killing his father wasn't an accident. In fact, it was a carefully thought-out plan.
Judith had planned my dad's death for a couple weeks. Judith told me my dad was dying of brain cancer. She just said it was his idea that I was supposed to shoot him and it would be ruled an accidental death. November 3rd, 2003. I got off the school bus, and as we were walking to the house, she put her hand around my neck and told me this was the day. The gun was in the laundry room, and I was to grab it and go where he was sleeping. There were some catalogs and stuff I was supposed to put over the floor and the bed to make it look like we were explaining and talking about hunting, and I was supposed to put it up to his head and pull the trigger. So I went into the bedroom and I did as I was told. My father was asleep. I laid out the magazines by myself and pulled the trigger. I shot him in the head. When I shot him, I remember hearing this one last breath that he took, and it was just long and drawn out, and I knew he was gone. As soon as it happened, I dropped the gun and I ran to the phone and called 911. Judith made sure that she was at her mother's house. I had Judith's story memorized, so I knew exactly what to say to her. I told the police I was handing my dad the gun. He had grabbed it and kind of jerked it, and my finger was on the trigger and it went off. The police believed me. For the next 9 years, I had to keep that secret.
All right. Corey, I'm glad to meet you, but I'm sorry for the circumstances, and everybody that's watching this right now is saying, you know, wait a minute, what? You went in to your father's room where he was lying asleep, and you put a gun to his head, and you pulled the trigger, and you did it on purpose?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of gun are we talking about here?
It was a .410 shotgun.
So you put a shotgun to his head. He's asleep. Did you love your father? Did you hate your father?
I loved him. I mean, it wasn't my doing. I was told and forced to do it. I really had no choice.
All right. Now, what were you told about brain cancer and a tumor? What were you told about that?
Judith had told me that my dad was dying of brain cancer, and he had a brain tumor, and that it was actually his idea to be shot so the family would be well off from the life insurance.
Right. And so Judith, we're talking here about your stepmother, she collected $500,000.
Yes.
Okay, now, here's what everybody is thinking, is how do you talk a child into walking into the bedroom, putting a gun to the head of their father and pulling the trigger when it's a father that he loves, cares about, admires, looks up to in so many ways? But the truth here is that this came on the heels of relentless coercion and torture and punishment at the hands of this woman with no hope for escape. And this is something that didn't happen occasionally. This was relentless across what period of time?
Yes, it actually lasted up till I was 18 and moved out.
If you did resist, if you said no, what happened?
You know, she would, several times she told me that she would kill me, but I mean, she would just torture me that much more.
When she came up with this plan and said, we have to kill your father, what did you say when she first brought that up to you?
I had no choice. I mean, I wasn't allowed to say no or anything. I just had to do it.
Take me through the moment that she first mentioned this to you. What did she say to you? Where were you?
We were at the house, and she told me that I had wanted to learn how to go hunting, so my dad was going to teach me, and she brought it up to him. And so he started showing me about the gun and everything, just, you know, hiding her tracks. So it was said that I did want to learn how to hunt and stuff.
Right. And then the day she came and told you about the plan, what did she say?
She told me I was to walk into his bedroom or walk into Emily's bedroom where he was sleeping and put the gun up to his head after I'd spread out some catalogs and hunting stuff and pull the trigger.
What was your first reaction?
I mean, I don't know. I was totally under her control. She told me that if I didn't, I would be the one that was dead.
All right. You kept this secret for 10 years.
I did.
You didn't tell anybody what really happened for 10 years.
Correct.
What was that like, living with that for 10 years?
I don't know, I mean, everyone that knew me in school, I felt like they didn't know me. I faked my entire life. You know, I had to make up stories of my life because it wasn't happy at home, but everyone thought it was.
Later in court, when all of this came out, your stepmother said that they were sending you to military school. In fact, she said, we were sending Corey to military school, and Corey did not want to go, and he shot his father purposely and made up this whole story. What did you think when you heard her say that?
She's delusional. She's just, once again, trying to get out of it.
Up next, why Corey says his father would still be alive if it weren't for my next guest. And it's not Judith.
Corey's father married Judith about 2 years after we got divorced.
When I was 8 years old, my mother signed all of her rights over to my father.
I thought it would be better for him to have a stable environment instead of going back and forth and the fighting. I had no idea Corey was being abused by Judith.
Judith Hawkey was indicted for aggravated murder, but she's not the one who pulled the trigger, killing her ex-husband. She's charged with causing an irresponsible person to commit the murder, that person being the victim's son, who was just 10 years old at the time.
After I shot my father, I was in the ambulance. Judith came in and she put her arm around my neck. She came right up to my ear and said, "Don't mess this up, stick to the story." She was afraid that I would tell the truth.
Corey says he didn't tell anyone about killing his father for 9 years. He said he was too scared of what would happen to him if he did. Eventually, Corey confided to teachers at school. That started a process. An investigation was started. Did you think you were going to go to jail?
Yes, the next day I was interviewed at school after I talked to her, and after I told them, I asked them when I was going to go to jail, and they just looked at me and said I wasn't.
They said you weren't. What did you think at that moment when they said you're not going to jail?
I don't know, I guess I was shocked because I kind of figured after I brought this out I would, but I didn't care. I just wanted Judith to be held responsible.
When you finally gave it a voice, how did you feel?
It was just weight off my shoulders. It's kind of hard to explain. Just instant happiness in a way.
Now this happened when you were 10 years old.
Yes, sir.
You stayed with her for how many more years?
Till I was 18, so 8.
So 8 more years. The abuse, you say it improved. I mean, it was a little less in frequency, but the intensity was still there.
Yeah.
I mean, this continued on for the next 8 years.
Yeah, until the day I moved out.
Until you moved out. And by this point, she thinks she's gotten away with it.
Yes.
She recruited you to do this. She thinks she's done, but a trial ensues. She is convicted. Now, Corey's stepmother was sentenced to life in prison without parole just this last December. However, Corey says there's another person he also holds responsible for his father's death. Take a look.
I blame my biological mother, Wendy, for everything that's happened to me and my dad.
Corey was about 3 when his father and I got divorced. Corey's father married Judith about 2 years after we got divorced.
I would see my mother every other weekend up to the age of 8.
After his father got remarried to Judith, I didn't really get to see Corey much. There would be weeks or a month or so where I wasn't allowed to see him.
When I was 8 years old, my mother signed all of her rights over to my father.
I thought it would be better for him to have a stable environment instead of going back and forth and the fighting. I had no idea Corey was being abused by Judith.
The day I was adopted, we went to Walmart to meet up with Wendy. I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I stayed in the car, but when Judith came back out, Judith said that my biological mom wanted nothing to do with me. I remember wanting to cry, but not being able to. My whole life just kind of stood still right then and there.
At the time, I thought I was doing the best thing for Corey.
If Wendy wouldn't have given me up, my dad would still be alive, and I want Wendy to answer for what she did.
Okay, how do you feel about what he just said?
I feel hurt that he blames me for his father being dead. I don't quite understand why he blames me.
What is it that you blame her for?
For signing
and just be completely honest. This is the time to get it out.
For signing your own son over and not giving a damn about him or what happened to him.
And you say, but for her doing that, your father would be alive today. If she hadn't signed you away and turned you over to this monster, that monster wouldn't have taken control of you as a child and caused you to kill your father. Correct. So you say, if there's links in the chain, that her signing you over to this monster was the first link.
Yes.
What do you say to that?
I didn't know any of the abuse was going on. I didn't know Judith was gonna abuse him. I mean, they were, after we got divorced and his dad remarried her, I had to deal with her to see Corey. And there would go links where I wasn't allowed to get him, and the fighting with her and the back and forth and going to pick him up, and she would yank him out of my car. And I just thought it would be best if I signed my rights off, but it wasn't because I didn't want him in my life. I just wanted him to be happy and have a stable life.
So you gave me up so you didn't have to fight.
I'm going to let Wendy answer that when we come back.
My kids, they'll never have a grandpa because of me. You know how I'm gonna have to explain that? My dad's not here and I hate her for it. So you gave me up so you didn't have to fight.
I didn't know how to fight. I didn't have the money. I would write the judge a letter saying they're not letting me see him. He would say, get a lawyer. I didn't have the money.
But there's a difference between not having the money to fight and signing away your parental rights to this child. And I mean, that's what a lot of mothers in America right now are sitting there thinking. You know, you may have to rage against the machine, you may have to fight the court system, you may have to do whatever you can, but you don't have to sign away your rights where you don't even have the ability to intervene on his behalf if in fact something goes wrong.
Right. I'm not trying to defend it, and I'm sorry, but I really thought at the time it was the best thing to do.
For you or for him?
For both of us. Because I think your dad was hurt because I cheated on him, and he used you as a pawn to hurt me.
Why would you cheat on my dad? Why didn't you just stay with him? What was wrong?
I don't know why I cheated on him, Corey. I was young, and I made a mistake. And I'm sorry.
If you were sorry, you'd have never signed me over.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry for what?
I'm so sorry for signing him away. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry.
Why won't you look at him when you say that? You look everywhere in the room but at your son.
I'm sorry. I've tried to tell him this over and over again. I'm so sorry.
Do you think I'm sorry? My dad's not here because of me, because Judith tortured me and abused me for years because of you giving me up. How do you think I feel?
I'm sorry. Corey, I am really sorry.
Answer the question. How do you think he feels?
Hurt and angry.
You know, my kids, they'll never have a grandpa because of me. You know how I'm gonna have to explain that? And then, you know, while I'm explaining that, I'm gonna go ahead and include it's because you decided it would make your life easier if I wasn't around and you didn't have to fight for me.
So you're afraid that someday you grow up, get married, and your children say, "Where's Grandpa?" Well, I shot him in the head. I mean, that's a tough story to tell, right?
Yeah.
And, well, where's Grandma? Well, she actually terminated her parental rights, so I don't really have a mother legally. I do genetically, but not legally. And my stepmother, well, she's in prison for the rest of her. It gets to be a sad and complex story, is your point, and you're left to live with all that. How do you feel towards her? What are your feelings?
I mean, it's hate. That's what it is. My dad's not here, and I hate her for it.
Is that what you've thought?
Yeah, I already knew that he hated me. I do feel it.
She's running you out, right? I mean, she's yanking him out of your car. She's giving you hell. If she's intimidating you, a grown woman, how could you turn a child over to her? And once you sign away your rights, you can't even ask questions. Because his thinking in part is if he had even gotten to see you once a month, in one of those times, he could have said, "I need to tell you what's going on here. I got the scars to prove it. This isn't just some, gee, I don't want to live with him anymore. I got the scars to prove it. It's a little embarrassing here, Mom, but take a look at this." He could have said something where you could have called the authorities. Anything could have happened. I mean, he's playing the what if game. You get that?
Yeah.
He's saying, what if you hadn't, and I'd been able to tell you, and you were able as an adult to get me help because I'm 10 years old, I can't do it. You understand?
I understand.
All right, let's take a break. With Judith in jail and his dad deceased, Wendy says she's the only one left to blame. Well, we'll hear why she feels it's unfair when we come back.
I don't think Corey should blame me for the death of his father. I think Corey should be more angry with Judith. She took his father away from him, his childhood away from him. Corey told me that he told his father about the abuse from Judith. I'm angry that his father didn't do anything about it. His dad is gone, Judith is in prison, so who else does he have to be mad at? But I don't think it's fair.
Well, that was Wendy, who says she's the only one left in her son's life to blame for the death of his father. She maintains that at the time she gave custody of Corey to his father and stepmother, that she truly believed that it was in his best interest. She says she had no idea about the horrific abuse that he was enduring and was to endure in his life. Well, what you told us is I really don't know everything that took place, and I heard some things in the sentencing.
True.
And just that little bit, other than that, is kind of all I know. I've never really gotten in and learned what my son lived for all of these years.
That's true.
I wrote down something you said that I thought was very important. You said, "I haven't asked because I don't want to make it worse." Again, for you or for him?
For both. I don't want to push him away and have him hate me more than he already does. But I tried to hug you at the trial and talk to you there, and you didn't want anything to do with me.
Do you think I should have anything to do with you?
I hope someday.
You hope someday I have something to do with you?
I want you to have something to do with me.
Do you think you deserve it?
I don't know, maybe I don't.
What do you want from her?
I don't know. At this point, friendship, to say the least. I honestly don't think that I can call you Mom. In my opinion, a mom never gives up their child, no matter the circumstances. I know if I had a son or a daughter, I'd never give them up.
But she did. And that was then, and this is now. And my question is, do you want to spend the rest of your life hating her? Do you want to spend the rest of your life bashing her? Do you want to spend the rest of your life blaming her? And if not, what do you want?
No, I don't want to do that, but like I said, friendship.
It's a little hard to be friends with somebody that starts every exchange from a point of view of, I hate you. I hate you.
I understand.
I mean, that makes it very difficult. What is it you need to hear from her?
I don't know. I mean,
you know, we interviewed you at length, and he had a good question. Why did you keep his sister but not him?
All my sisters.
To be honest, I don't know why. I really thought at the time I signed those papers, Judith wasn't the nicest person, but I had no idea she was capable of abusing him or not being a good mom to him. I thought she was going to be a better mom to him than I could be. And his father and her were going to raise him, and he was going to have a good childhood. I had no idea anything like this could happen.
I had no childhood. Just letting you know, that part of my life, as soon as you handed me over, that was gone.
I'm sorry.
Well, the question is, can Corey learn to forgive his mother? Should he forgive his mother? I'll let you know what I think about this when we come back.
My ex-husband, Robert, did let Judith control my visits with Corey. When I would come and pick Corey up, put him in my car, she would come and open the door, and she yanked him out of the car. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I would just leave. I wouldn't have that visit with him. Judith did make me feel powerless.
I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about this. And there's no way that I can make sense out of this, because you can't make sense out of nonsense. And what happened to you is nonsensical, it's illogical, it's wrong at every level. And so there's nothing that I can say, or she can say, or anybody can say that's going to make any of that okay. Nobody can give you back those years. Nobody can take away the pain and the hurt and the fear and the suffering and now the guilt you feel about what you did. And I'm telling you, your goal has got to be to, A, forgive yourself. Because I know you have conversations with yourself about, how could I do that? I mean, how could I not say no? Why didn't I run away? Why didn't I shoot her? Why didn't I, you know, I don't know. You play this what-if game with yourself. It can make you absolutely crazy. And you do that, do you not?
Yeah, I do.
And every time you do, you wind up on the short end because you beat the hell out of yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And you don't deserve that. You absolutely don't deserve that. You were a victim here. She victimized you. She victimized your father. She victimized your mother. She victimized everybody. And if she's allowed to continue this fracture in this family, then evil wins. Evil wins. And you maybe never heard it, but there is a truth, I believe, that says the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And if you do nothing, if you just stay paralyzed and frozen, she wins. You have got to set a goal and say, I am going to sort this out, and I am going to forgive myself. And believe me, that's a choice. And when you do that, then you'll find it in your heart to forgive her. I tell you, the older you get, the more you learn that life is about intentions. And your mother made some really bad choices at the time. Had she come to me at that time, I would have counseled her to the contrary. I would say, don't you ever, ever burn that bridge. Don't you ever shut off your right to intervene. This is your child. But she didn't have that access at the time. She made a bad decision with good intention. And fair?
Yes.
Bad decision, good intention.
Very bad decision.
And my point that I want you to understand is forgiving her does not mean what she did was okay. It just means I choose to not be locked in that bond of bitterness with you for the rest of my life. And will you have a relationship with her? You know, I don't know. Relationships are not genetic. They're based on experience. A mother that hasn't been in a child's life for 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is, they come back together. There's just not this natural bond. You have to build that. It's based on shared experiences, and you're not there yet. But I want to get you some help with this. I want to get you some professional help to sit down with you and help you think your way out of this maze. You said how free you felt when you told and you got it off your shoulders. Well, there's a weight on your other shoulder right now. And it's this guilt and anger and bitterness. And I want to help get that off your shoulder too. And then there's a chance to begin to build this with boundaries. If I arrange that help for you, will you take it?
I would.
Okay. And you'll participate when it's time, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Coming up, my next guest says that she's been stabbed in the back by her own flesh and blood. She blames her sister for the fact she lost custody of her 6-month-old baby. Her sister says, look, don't blame me. Blame your own bad parenting. We'll be right back.
My sister Tashina stabbed me in the back.
My sister thinks that I called the Department of Children and Families on her.
My sister dramatized the truth.
I have no problem taking custody of my niece if that's what I have to do to protect her.
Today's guests are talking about the fact that they've been betrayed by those that should love them the most. My next guest claims her sister is to blame for her losing custody of her 6-month-old daughter.
My sister Tashina stabbed me in the back.
My sister thinks that I called the Department of Children and Families on her. DCF took custody of her baby.
My daughter was born with a hole in her diaphragm, and she was on life support machines after she was born. I still am terrified that my daughter could die.
While Michelle's daughter was in the hospital, Michelle had bragged to me that she smoked pot on the roof of the hospital.
Somebody called DCF on us and said that my daughter's father and I smoke weed around our daughter and that we physically fight around her.
Michelle and the baby's father got in a physical altercation where he went to headbutt Michelle and Michelle hit him.
When I had a meeting with the Department of Children and Families, my sister sat at the table and dramatized the truth. She has filled their heads with lies.
I have no problem taking custody of my niece if that's what I have to do to protect her.
Well, Michelle says when she did have custody of her baby, Tashina would constantly undermine her, making matters worse.
My sister is trying to sabotage me as a parent.
I gave my sister a lot of advice, and she would just claim I was criticizing her.
My sister would always hold my daughter and say, my baby, my baby. And at first I thought I was harmless. But as it kept happening, I'd be like, can I see my daughter? Like, try and get her back. And she'd be like, no, my baby.
my sister was not putting 100% into parenting. I mean, maybe 50%.
I would put my daughter down for a nap, and my sister would go and wake her up because she wanted to hold her. She'd say, I just want to get my baby fixed.
She was only a few months old, so I felt like she should not be alone in a crib, awake.
I would dress my daughter up for the day, and then I would turn around 10 minutes later, and my sister would have changed her outfit.
I would never change my niece's clothes unless she spit up on it.
It happened all the time. I felt like I couldn't even dress my own daughter.
I feel I am more attached to my niece than my sister is.
She's crossing the line.
Do you have custody of your baby right now?
No.
Who does have custody?
DCF.
DCF has custody of the baby. It's with a medical foster home,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, why is she not with you? You say it's because of her, but...
No, I don't think it's because of her. I think she played a big part in it. I don't think she's the one that called DCF. I think she played part in the person who called DCF, but they took her because I didn't have a stable home for her to live, and because she had missed appointments, which I take responsibility for it because I relied on other people for rides.
Okay, and you want this child back?
Yes, I've been doing everything to get her back.
Really?
Yeah.
And here's a checklist that she needs to fulfill in order to do so. She has to get a driver's license. You have to have a car and transportation. Do you have that?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so you don't have a driver's license, you don't have a car. You have to have a job.
Yes, and I'm looking.
Do you have a job?
No.
No. Okay, you have to get some type of college.
Yeah, and I was going to apply this week, but I came here for this.
Yeah, so you don't have that?
Nope.
You're not involved?
No,
at
I
this
just
point?
got the list of things a week
Okay,
ago.
Social Security card?
I had an appointment to do that this week, but I came here.
So it was all going to happen this week?
Not everything. I mean, the license, that's not going to happen
Social
fast.
Security card, you don't have stable living environment?
Looking for an apartment right now with my boyfriend.
With your boyfriend?
Yeah.
But you don't have a place? No,
Nope.
Okay. Birth control?
Yeah, I did that. I went to the doctors because that was one of the things on my list to do, and I got that all set up.
And mandatory counseling that you're supposed to participate
I'm in that.
You've been inconsistent about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
It's
let's
hard
just cut
with
to the chase.
no transportation. It's the hardest part.
Well, for whatever reason. You know, you say that you really want this baby back, but I can tell you, as someone that's been involved in these things a number of times, I never listen to what people say. I just look at what they do. And you're here blaming your sister, saying she's a big part of this. Well, no, that's not true. You said she's trying to take your baby, she's being inappropriately involved with your baby, that you think she called CPS
No, I
or
do not.
turned you in?
No.
Well, I'm glad somebody called. Aren't you?
No.
You
My
missed
daughter
12 appointments in a row for your
Yes,
baby, and your baby is not well.
My fault. Because I relied
doesn't
on
matter.
I relied on other people for rides and they didn't follow through. And after
That's not true.
Yes,
That
it
is
is
not
and,
even close to
and
true.
A lot of the time, I brought my daughter to the ER and we'd be there till 4 in the morning and she'd have an appointment at 11. We'd go home and I'd have to reschedule. And I take full responsibility for missing my daughter's appointments. And once that had happened, I set it up so that I would get transportation through my insurance. So once I get her back, she will never miss an appointment again.
Well, you don't sound like you take full responsibility because you say you were relying on other people for rides.
I did.
And they didn't show up.
Yes,
That sounds like you're blaming people that didn't show up.
No, because as my daughter's mother, it's my responsibility to get her rides, and it was I was wrong for relying on other people for that.
Well, Michelle claims that she stopped smoking marijuana and that she just stopped smoking. We're going to find out the truth about all that when we come back.
My sister has a history of lying. When we were younger, one of my dresses went missing. A week later, Michelle was wearing it. I confronted Michelle, and she looked me straight in the eye and said, "This is not your dress. It looks exactly like it, but it's my friend's."
The dress was mine. I never stole a dress from my sister. I mean, I might have borrowed a dress, but not the one she's talking about.
It's very hard to trust anything my sister says.
Now, Michelle says she feels like everyone is kind of scheming against her and she's doing the best she can. Take a look.
My sister has many times put her own needs before her daughter's. My sister stopped smoking pot after she was at least 3 months pregnant.
Before I got pregnant, I used to party sometimes, and I did smoke weed. As soon as I found out that I was pregnant, I stopped smoking.
When Michelle's daughter was born, we expected her to have a lot of problems. I fundraised $1,800 for Michelle. It was gone in 3 weeks. She says that she spent the money on food, but that's a lot of money on food.
She makes it seem like I went and partied with it all, but I was going to class every day, an hour and a half away. That's a lot of gas to go back and forth.
I believe Michelle spent some of the money on pot.
Did you spend any of it on dope?
No.
There are people in this world, in different agencies, Department of Child and Family Services or whatever, that regard themselves as fiduciaries. You know what a fiduciary is? A fiduciary is someone that is required by law to put someone else's interest ahead of their own. And you can say what you want to say, but here's what we know.
Yeah.
You missed 12 doctor's appointments, don't care why. You failed to get blood work done in the first trimester, don't care why. Then the baby is born and does have problems.
Yeah, well, we knew she would. They didn't even think she'd live.
Spends months in the hospital.
And I was there with her the whole time. If I wasn't a good mom, I would have been like, oh, this is a vacation, and I would have left, and I would have never been there.
Weeks at a time.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
That's why it cost so much gas to go back and forth, because we hated being away from her.
Okay, based on, let me tell you, I'm not telling you that you don't love your baby. I'm telling you that being a parent is a privilege.
Yes.
And it is a privilege that you earn by conducting yourself responsibly. And that means responsibly on providing this child care, whether medical care, housing, food, safety,
and
whatever.
I haven't been able to do that, and that's why I don't have her.
And despite everything that you say, based on history, you have not done that yet, and so you are not ready to have that child back.
I mean, I'm working on all those things, so.
Well, you've got the list, and we do too. I'm just saying. All right. Thanks to all my guests today, and a special thanks to our medical team at Doctor on Demand for assisting some of my team in preparation for the show. If you at home want to have your own Doctor on Demand, a new app we created, go to Google Play or the App Store and download Doctor on Demand app. I hope you guys hear what I'm saying here. Seems to me she's trying to help you, not hurt you, but you decide that on your own. Thanks for being here. So long.
Today on Dr. Phil, a married woman
I'm torn between my husband and my boyfriend.
in a love triangle dilemma.
Secret phone calls, making out in public, you're having sex in the woods.
That's tacky. I don't do stuff like that.
But otherwise, what you're doing, it doesn't hit the tachymeter. This boyfriend, he's on the phone.
There may be some bias that you have.
You're right, I do have a bias. I think you need to butt out of these people's marriage and leave them alone. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
In 5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Wow, sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night to meet her boyfriend, hiding in the woods, making out in public, secret phone calls, sneaking around. You think we're talking about a rebellious teen, right? We're talking about a married mother of 4. And the length she goes to hook up with her boyfriend of a year. Yep. Now, I said boyfriend, and her husband, well, he knows all about him. Now, we all know infidelity is nothing new, but this summer a national survey made headlines when it unmasked a new face of infidelity for the first time ever. Women admitted cheating almost as much as men. Earlier this week, I tweeted that I was working on a show about female cheaters, and my Twitter blew up with your stories and opinions. If you want to join the discussion, you can tweet me at Dr. Phil, #cheaters. But first, Lisa and her husband, Rick, are at war over Lisa's very open year-long affair with another man. She insists it would never happen if Rick treated her with any amount of love and compassion. Take a look.
I've been having an affair because I felt unloved. Rick treats me like crap. Rick's verbally abusive. He calls me a psycho, a slut, or that I sleep with the whole neighborhood. Rick has pushed me and choked me. He was disinterested in being intimate with me. It made me feel rejected.
She is with her boyfriend every day. When Lisa says she's going for a walk, she typically meets her boyfriend in the woods. I've probably caught Lisa with her boyfriend 30 or more times.
I met my boyfriend 11.5 months ago. He asked me if I was married. I said, yeah. He said, were you happily married? I said, I didn't say I was happily married. My boyfriend and I have been seeing each other ever since. He was a very comforting person, very warm, very sensitive, and very caring. And he really took an interest in my plight. My boyfriend makes me feel like a princess, like I'm valued, like I'm loved. My husband, Rick, makes me feel like I'm nothing.
The boyfriend has threatened me numerous occasions that he was going to hurt me. Lisa has relayed threats from him saying he knows a lot of shady characters, so to watch my back because he's going to have somebody else take care of me. Lisa's boyfriend has threatened bodily harm on my kids as well.
Just last night, I did try breaking up with my boyfriend. When my boyfriend and I break up, we don't stop talking. Once Rick does something mean, I always run back to my boyfriend.
I need to know that you're completely done with your so-called boyfriend. And if you can't give me that, then we need to walk our separate ways. And you can stay with that loser.
I'm torn between my husband and my boyfriend. My heart is telling me one thing, my head is telling me another.
Well, Rick says, well, he just, look, I don't care what her excuses are, and insists it is his right as a husband to keep her from this other man. Take a look.
Rick is the most controlling person I've ever met. I feel like a prisoner in my own home.
I'm not doing a very good job as a warden keeping her as a prisoner because she gets to see her boyfriend on a daily basis.
Rick put a tracking device on my car. He constantly follows me. Rick holds me against my will when he thinks I'm going to see my boyfriend.
I have tried to keep Lisa from seeing her boyfriend. I believe it's within my right as a husband to try to keep her away from him.
About 6 weeks ago, we were in the bedroom. He held my wrist down and he intertwined his legs around mine so that I couldn't move. I kept saying, you're hurting me, let me go. And the only way I got free was a remote control next to me on the bed, and I picked it up and hit him in the head.
I caught Lisa walking down the street, and I knew exactly where she was going, so I told her to get in the car.
Rick grabbed my purse, and he almost knocked me to the ground. He said, you're not going anywhere. I was crying and I said, just take me home, I want to go home. The neighbor told the police that he thought somebody was being kidnapped. Rick was trying to kidnap me to keep me away from my boyfriend. I feel like a caged animal. If Rick treated me better, I wouldn't be caught between two men.
Okay, let me just start us off by saying this. Is there a point at which you would say enough's enough? Because obviously we haven't hit it.
Right.
Here's what we know. We know that this has been going on for at least a year, right?
11.5 months.
We know this isn't your first time. This is your third, right?
Right. 10 years into the marriage the first time, 15 years later, and this is the third.
Okay, and then this one. So you've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your discontinuation criteria? At what point do you say, you know what, this is not a marriage? I mean, she's sleeping with the neighborhood and then coming home, and sometimes she'll be out with her boyfriend, come home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you just pull the covers back for it and let her slide right in.
Sometimes 5 or 6 in the morning, but I've always believed in hoping that that we can work something out, but obviously that's not the way it's going.
But what have you done to work on it? Have you been to therapy?
Have not been.
Excuse me, I've been to marital therapy one time, and he showed up 15 minutes late, and he said, the counselor said, do you think it's a problem? And he said, no, I don't see a problem. She said, your wife's crying. That was years ago.
What'd they tell you?
To leave him.
Why?
He's cheated on me since I was 8 months pregnant, over and over and over again, and never stopped except for a few months in between times.
You say he's cheated on you 15 or 20 times?
Yes, at least.
That's not true.
Is that true?
No, it's not true. I'm willing to take a polygraph for it. I had 2 one-night stands, and the last one's probably over 14, 15 years ago.
Excuse
I
me,
have
2
not
months
cheated
ago,
on her
you told me it was
since
5 times 2 months ago.
No, it's...
So help me God, you did.
So you've tried to bribe her to stay, right?
Yes.
You buy her things, you give her spa days and stuff like that. You understand, she goes, the spa day gets all fluffed up for him.
No.
You're fluffing her up for him?
It's $300 a pop when I take her to get her face done.
Excuse me, I don't have a car. I don't have a credit card. I've never had a credit card in this marriage. The house is not in my name.
Well, you don't need one. You got
keys.
2 men taking care of you. What do you need a credit card
I've
for?
never had it. Never, ever, ever. That house isn't even in my name.
I've given her one of the vehicles back a couple times, and she promised I told her there's one criteria. You do not use the car to go get a hookup and meet him.
He locks me out.
And she would take the car and go meet him and hook up with him, so I keep taking the car back.
One time
Twice.
did I do that once.
You know, listen, I'm just kind of a common sense guy. This just seems to me like you guys are working at a train wreck. This is a very hot topic among people, and when I tweeted I was going to do this show, it just blew up. Here's what a viewer is tweeting right now. Once you put a ring on it, you're committed to working things out with that partner. No third parties allowed. Do you agree with that? That's just a viewer at home right now watching
I agree with that. I'm not the one that started this. When I was 8 months pregnant, he said I was no fun. I said, well, I didn't get myself pregnant. In one instance, we were in the store.
So you're a victim here.
Well, in some ways I am. I'm not saying it 100%, you know, that I'm not going to take 100% or some of the responsibility, but 100% is not mine.
You have this boyfriend right now, right?
Yes.
And you just love him. You think he's just a prize egg, right?
Well, let's see. He treats me with respect.
Right.
He listens to me.
Right.
He's loving. He's caring. He's sensitive.
Sensitive.
He's
treats you with respect in the woods.
It was my idea to meet. Okay, we met in the woods because Rick was following him. Rick bought a gun and threatened to kill him.
And your boyfriend has threatened to beat up your husband and your son.
Because they were cussing him out. They hit on his truck. He had all of them, my 2 sons and him, corner him at night. They beat on his truck. They cussed him out. He kept saying, get out of the truck. They all were going to tag team him.
He parked right in front of the house. What do you want
He
us to do?
didn't park in front of the house. That's not true.
So you're defending all of this then?
I'm
so
not
you didn't come here to
condoning
change this to fix this. You came here to defend it.
No, not at all. I'm not condoning what I do. I'm trying to set the record straight. He has this habit of changing things around and giving only his version. And he does that to me, too.
I've listened to, I've read every word that either one of you have said. Every word. Test me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, all right, let's take a break. Next, who is this man Lisa calls her boyfriend? Well, we're going to talk to him when we come back.
Lisa has cheated on me at least 3 times. One day I went looking for Lisa, and I found her behind a department store in the dark with her boyfriend. I confronted them, and she said that they were just talking. I told her, why would you be parked in the dark if you just wanted to talk?
Well, we're talking about infidelity, but now, according to a new survey, women admitted to being unfaithful almost as much as men. Now, we decided to run our own survey asking both men and women if they had ever cheated on their current partner. And the results were pretty shocking. 30% of men said yes, 22% of women admitted as well. So it's activity on both sides. Okay, let me ask you something. You are married. You're in love with somebody else, right?
I'd rather not answer it if it's...
What?
I'd rather not answer that.
You would rather not answer that?
And suffer repercussions with him? No.
You're okay with him knowing that you're having sex in the woods, but you don't want to say...
I didn't have sex in the woods. I met him in the woods.
Okay.
I'm not a kid. I wouldn't do stuff like that. Plus, that's tacky. I don't do stuff like that.
Tacky.
But otherwise, what you're doing is...
No, it's
it
not
doesn't hit
right.
the tacky meter.
It's not right. But what about him? Why is everything just on me?
Well, I'm just talking to you right now. I'll get to him in a minute. I'll get to him. I'm just trying to find out what you're willing to own and what you're not.
I'm going to tell you the truth about everything, anything you ask me.
You in love with this man?
Well, I have to answer that. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it, but...
I'm sorry?
I'm not going to lie about it, but I really don't want to answer it.
Okay, so what you said was a lie. You said, I'll answer anything you want to ask, just ask me. I said, okay.
I said, I'll tell you the truth. Answer the truth about anything you ask me.
Yeah, are you in love with this guy?
Probably to some degree.
Are you in love with him?
No.
No.
Too much cruelty.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, this boyfriend, and we're not naming him. I don't really care what his name is. He's on the phone. You mind me talking to him? I don't want to be disrespectful. It's all right with you? Hello, are you there? Are you on the phone?
Yes.
Let me ask you something. Do you have any feelings at all about the fact that you're intruding on someone's marriage? That you're sleeping with another man's wife?
Well, go back and underline the word marriage again. Like I said, it needs to be something that is a working relationship where they both use empathy and respect on a day-to-day basis. They've lost that way back 26 years ago, and no, I don't feel very comfortable about the situation whatsoever.
Okay, and you know all of this because you've been in the home and you've observed the dynamic between the husband and the wife, right?
I've been involved. I've not been in the home. I have been on the telephone whenever I've heard different forms of abuse occur.
You're listening to her, but the truth is you don't really know a damn thing about what's going on in this marriage, do you? Other than what she's told you.
It sounds to me like there may be some bias that you have as well. I fully well think that everyone should try to protect their marriage and try to keep it on the right side of the road. But unfortunately, he started his transgressions way back, and I wouldn't minimize that personally if I was you.
How many times you been married?
I was married twice before.
Did you cheat on either one of them?
There's much more important things to discuss related to their problems and issues. So going back and rehashing some of my history and everything, I really don't feel like it's beneficial here. And obviously, if he doesn't have the mental background or intellectual or as far as having empathy for her situations, being a woman with basic, feminine needs, if he's going to overlook her and have callous in his heart and everything, it's going to be a lose-lose situation for both of them. I
hate to
expect that they were going to be divorced by now.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt you, but does that mean you're not going to answer my question about whether you cheated in your other two marriages?
Well, I said before that I felt like that you're getting off the track, and I don't think that that's beneficial to the show either.
Okay, so you're going to manage the show now. Okay, so you're managing his marriage and my show. You are a busy guy. Listen, you said you think I have a bias, and you're right. I do have a bias. I think you need to butt out of these people's marriage and leave them the hell alone, is what I think. And I think you are an intruder. I think you are an intruder. I think you are an interloper. If she wants to get a divorce, she can get a divorce. It is important to finish one relationship before you start another relationship, and you never improve a marriage by turning away from your partner. We have to take a break. Next, Lisa insists that she's not the only one with a wandering eye. She says Rick has been cheating on her throughout their entire marriage. In fact, she believes he's hiding a secret girlfriend as we sit here now. We'll be right back.
I think Rick has had 20+ affairs.
This was my snack. It says, cheating again? Why? She's trying to flip the script and call me the cheater now. It's just not true. I found that Lisa had a secret phone that her boyfriend had given her. I saw many of the text messages between him and Lisa. Words to the effect that he wants Lisa to run away with him and leave me. He wanted her to get pregnant so they can be together forever.
Well, why do women cheat? That's what we're getting to the bottom of today. Lisa admits to having multiple affairs, including a current one that's been going on for over a year. But she says Rick's victim story is a joke. She claims that Mr. Perfect here is a master manipulator and that he is a serial adulterer. Take a look.
I think Rick has had 20-plus affairs. I also believe Rick's a sexual addict, but Rick keeps playing the victim.
She's trying to flip the script and call me the cheater now. She has a vivid imagination. If she has you in her sights, look out, because she's relentless and vicious in her attacks. Lisa came to visit me one time where I worked, and she went straight into my boss's office and accused me of having a relationship with one of the female there in our office. And of course, being in the military, that's not taken lightly.
I went to Rick's work. He stopped and stared his female coworker down for what seemed like an eternity. I knew something wasn't right. I actually seduced Rick and hid a small digital tape recorder and had to do a sex act against my will. It was the only way I can get his confession. When I got his confession, I talked to his superior and presented him with my evidence. Rick immediately said, "She's crazy, she's psycho, don't listen to her."
An investigation occurred. There was no wrongdoing found.
I have circumstantial evidence that Rick has been recently cheating.
This was my snack that I was taking to work today. It says, "Cheating again? Why?" And to this day, Lisa continues to accuse me of cheating. It's just not true.
Okay. First off, let's get to the bottom of this. Have you had 15 or 20 affairs?
No, I have not.
Have you had 5?
No, I have not.
You said you had 2 one-night stands.
Yes.
Why was that okay? Why were you having one-night stands?
It wasn't okay.
Why'd you do it?
I was a lot younger at the time, and I guess, the thrill of it. And it happened twice, and the last one was 12, 13 years ago.
If this has been going on in your marriage, he's admitted to 2.
He's
You've
lying. He told
admitted
me
to 3.
2 months ago it was 5. So help me God is my witness.
Let's, for argument's sake, let's say he's had 5. Okay? I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying for argument's sake, let's say he's had 5 and you've had 3 that we know about. Why have y'all not done anything about this in all of this time?
I have gone to counselors. I've begged him. He wouldn't do it. He said, "You're crazy. You're psycho. Just leave me alone." He said, "I need my space." You don't understand. I guess I was weak. I thought, where am I going to go? He made good money. I had odd jobs here and there, security guard.
Is this thing working? Can you hear me at all? Because it's like you're having a conversation with somebody, not me. My question was, why have in all of these years, how long have you been married?
26 years.
26 years. Why in 26 years have you two not done anything responsible to try to work on this? You have children here. You are role models here. You're modeling that lying is okay, deceit is okay, cheating is okay, and you're modeling, hey, whatever, I'll just yell, scream, call names, whatever.
Take car keys, lock me out of the house.
I'm doing okay.
Sorry.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You're a right fighter, woman. You want to be right. But, boy, you're starting from way back in the pack if you want to take the self-righteous chair.
I don't.
Now, I'm just asking you, why haven't you done anything about this? Why haven't you worked on this?
I can't answer that. Like I said, I talked to my pastor about it at church.
What'd your pastor say?
He says marriage is sacred, to keep working at it.
He said keep working at it. It means to make efforts towards a known outcome, working at it. So you didn't listen to your pastor either.
I spent most of my time, I guess, trying to keep her away from him.
Did you kidnap her recently?
I caught her walking down the street, and I knew exactly where she was going because I had seen her boyfriend's truck, his red truck, a couple blocks away, headed towards the pickup point. So I told her, get in the car, let's go, let's talk. So she got in the car, and I just drove.
For how long?
It's about 30 miles. And you told me...
You kept me hostage for 40 minutes.
You told me you wanted to go back home, you would get something to eat. I believed her, took her for her word. So I went back home, and within 5 minutes, she was out the door, and she didn't come home till 2:30 in the morning after she took off.
Why not just get a divorce? I mean, if you want out that bad, listen,
I keep thinking he'll change.
Far be it from me to recommend divorce. I take marriage very seriously. I do. I really do. I take marriage very seriously. I don't think people should throw marriages away precipitously. But on the other hand, after 26 years, and you're currently in love with somebody else who's meeting all your emotional needs and physical needs and apparently intellectual needs.
Not financial needs.
Why are you doing this? Answer my question one time, just so I can say it happened. You want to marry him? Why are you doing this?
You know...
What's really going on here?
I really don't know. I think because what you have to understand is my parents were very overprotective of me really late. And
Okay,
when I was...
stop.
I've never been alone. Okay, there you have it. That's what I was trying to get to. I had a boyfriend when I was 18, then I met him. I've never been... I don't know what it's like to be alone.
Well, you're not alone now. You're in a sandwich. Leaving him, you're not going to be alone. You can go meet the red truck guy.
I have to be 100% sure about anything. I've learned I'm not...
Does he not want you?
Yeah, he wants me. He wants to get married and everything.
You want to marry him?
I don't think so. I don't think... You'd be his third. Yeah, I don't think so.
This is a man that threatened your son?
My son threatened him first. I don't agree with that.
No, wait a minute. Answer my question one time, just so I could say it happened. This man threatened your son with bodily harm.
In a roundabout way, yeah. He said if someone walks up to Jordan and punches him in the mouth, I won't be surprised.
Is this your son right here?
Yes.
And did he threaten you?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He said he was going to beat me up.
How do you feel about that?
I didn't hear that. Of course I don't want my son hurt. I don't want him touched by anyone. No, I love him.
Do you believe your son?
Yeah, but I didn't hear it. Where was I when that happened?
You heard it.
Where was it?
You were with me.
I don't remember. He could have said it, but I don't remember that.
That seemed to me, that would stick out in a mother's mind.
I mean, it was my boyfriend.
The man threatened your son with bodily harm.
And I don't condone that.
He is an adult. I don't care.
See, he's an adult too. He's 20. But I know I don't condone that. It's not what I'm saying, but he's not...
No, you do condone it.
I don't condone...
Yes, you do, because you go lay with this man. You go confide in this man. You go meet with this man that threatened your son with bodily harm. Your child.
I have talked to him about it. He goes, Lisa, you know I probably would never touch your child. I know, or your kids. You know how I know that. I know how much they mean to you, and I would never do that. He says that after the fact.
Yeah, because every time he confronts Jordan, Jordan calls me and I have to go show up, so he doesn't do anything to Jordan.
Is there a point at which you would say this has gotten just really dysfunctional?
I think we're at that point.
You think?
Yes.
I mean, you hear what she's saying.
We've been at that point for years.
And she's saying that you are a controller, that you stalk her, that you try to build a fence around her, you try to confine her. You try to do all of this. In fact, you've said, I have the right to do that.
I've tried to do that.
I have the right to keep her from going to
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And she admitted a week ago she's been sleeping with him every night. So
that's not true. That's not true.
You told me a week ago.
Did she need to admit that?
I never said every night.
I mean, did you, you didn't notice she wasn't there?
I know. She comes home. I know what she's doing. I tell her that. She goes, oh, we were just talking all night till 6 in the morning or doing this at a public restaurant.
Yeah, but like, how is that okay with you?
It's not okay with me.
It's not. I don't get it. I'm curious what all of you on Twitter feel. Go to my Twitter page and weigh in. Here's the question I ask. Is there a future for this marriage? I know what I think it needs to be. I'm going to hear what you say, and I'll give you the results here a little bit later in the show. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
The kids are very angry with Lisa.
My son Jordan calls me a whore and a slut almost on a daily basis. Rick has turned my kids against me.
Unfortunately, the kids are in the middle of all this. They've seen the hurt that it's caused me. The kids don't understand why I continue to put up with it. I try to explain to them, one day you guys will be married and you'll fight for your marriage. The kids are very angry with Lisa.
Rick discusses my affair openly with the kids. They make fun of my boyfriend, they make fun of me. It's like a group effort. There's been times when he has had the kids follow me and spy on me and report back to him. My son Jordan calls me a whore and a slut almost on a daily basis. It hurts my feelings because he's my son, he's supposed to respect me. But because of his dad, he was brought up not to, as were the rest of the kids. I was eating at a restaurant with my boyfriend, and Rick and my son Jordan came in and confronted my boyfriend and called me a slut in front of everybody. Rick has turned my kids against me. They're brainwashed, and I don't even know it.
How do you feel about the kids being involved in this?
I don't like it, but...
How do you feel about the kids being involved in this?
I wish they weren't involved, but
How do you children?
You get them involved.
Alexa?
They see everything with
Right?
their own eyes.
How do you guys feel about all this?
It's just disappointing. She defends him over us, and I see the hurt that my dad's going through.
What do you guys want to see happen here? What do you want to see that would bring the most peace to this family?
A decision. Either them staying together or splitting up, but it can't continue this way.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Twitter feeds up here. It's just our audience follows this show, and they're blowing up about you guys having the kids involved in all of this. Healed_Hearts tweeted, kids should never be in the middle. Let's pull her up on Polly. So you think these kids are in this middle of this war between them and shouldn't be?
It is not okay to cheat. I really hope both of you get help, take responsibility, stop making excuses, and get out of denial. Dr. Phil always says, you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Good point. You don't want the kids in the middle of this. You're not doing anything constructive here.
He's the one always involving them.
Do you have any sentences that start with something other than he? What do you own about this?
That I cheated. I shouldn't have done it. Two wrongs don't make a right. I shouldn't have done it.
I didn't get the kids involved. You're the one flaunting around town with them openly, and the kids see it
You
too.
tell them all the time. You're blanking the whole neighborhood. Jordan knows. Exaggerating like that. I would never do something like that.
What is your responsibility here? What are you doing here? I mean, is this an ego thing for you? Can you not admit that this thing has run off in the ditch in some way?
I'll admit to that. I think
You've cheated, she's cheated, she is cheating. So you got to either work on this or shut it down. What you're doing as parents. Let me talk to the two of you collectively here. As parents, and I don't care that your children are 18 and 19 and on, that you never finish parenting. You are role models here. You are role modeling disrespect. You are role modeling deceit. You are role modeling lying. You're role modeling everything negative that I could think to put on a list. And your kids are sitting down here going, you know, what the hell's going on? They just, I mean, Alexa said it pretty well. Just make a decision.
But you notice...
Just do something.
But you notice her dad, when you ask about his affairs, she's...
Oh, my God.
They don't care.
After everything I just said, you want us to talk about her dad some more. Really?
No.
What is it you need to do?
I need to stop having an affair.
But you're not going to stop, are you? You said you tried to break up 6 times.
5. I did break up, and then I went back. I didn't see him for maybe a few days, a week. I went back.
But boyfriend cries and says, don't leave me, right?
Yes.
And you feel bad?
I don't want to hurt either one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Look at these two down here. Are you hurting them? All right. I guess it does come down to exactly what Lisa says. I mean, her husband and family or her boyfriend. Will there be a decision here? Is it too far gone? I mean, I'm going to tell them what I think when I come back.
My son, Jordan, and our relationship has eroded tremendously. It's because he doesn't approve of the affair that I'm having. Alexa and I haven't had a close relationship in years. She asks me on a continual basis, are you pregnant by your boyfriend? What do you see in that old man? She constantly ridicules me.
My mom's affair is a big reason why our home is in pieces. I do not respect her.
Listen, right now, she is behaving in an outrageous way, and that overshadows your behavior, which works out really nicely for you if you weren't talking to me. You've cheated in this relationship, and now you've got her, and so it's the male thing. You want to possess her. You want to get her back. And your way of trying to remedy this is to control her. That will never, ever work. You can chase her, but you will just die tired. Because if she wants away from you, there's nothing you can do to contain her, control her, or run her down. Now, you could inspire her to return to you. I don't know. How many hours do you think you've spent with your red truck boyfriend in the last 11 and a half months? Would you say, is it like 10 hours a week?
Whenever I see him, it's only 2 hours a day.
Well, that'd be 14 hours a week.
But it's not every day. It's not every day.
Not when you come home at 5, 6 in the morning. That's not 2 hours
How
a
often
day.
do I come home at 5 or 6 in the morning?
Quite often, because you keep me up.
Well, a conservative estimate then would be 40 hours a month. If you took that 40 hours a month, and that was invested on healing yourself, healing this family. If you took that 40 hours a month, think of all that energy, all of that passion, all of that effort. If that was put in to fixing what is on the brink of disaster, instead of chasing after somebody that is hugely flawed, in my opinion, I wonder if we would be in a different place than we are now if that had been going on for 11 and a half months. Because if you spent 40 hours, that would be almost 500 hours that were invested on learning, healing, talking, solving, changing. You can't tell me that wouldn't make a difference. Would that make a difference?
There's no communication between he and I, so I don't know. I could try, but if I try, if nobody else wanting to try, do you see my point?
No.
You don't see my point?
No. No. No.
So change begins with you, and everybody's got
That's not a
fall into
cliche. The first house you clean is your own. You've got to get yourself in a position where you can hold your head high with your children, with your spouse. You've got to do what you've got to do. He clearly is going to have to either plug in or get out. One of the two. You will never, ever fix this situation if either one of you are involved with somebody outside the marriage. And if you aren't willing to stop that, if you aren't willing to say, leave me alone, I'm going to work on this situation and try to fix it and heal it, then you might as well get a divorce because it will never, ever get better. And you're right, somebody will wind up getting hurt. Your son, your husband, your boyfriend, somebody's going to wind up getting hurt here. So you've either got to be willing to work on this or not. And the same thing is true with you.
That's right.
Good.
That's all I'm just telling you. Or your family's going to disintegrate before your eyes. Are you willing to do that? If I arrange for help for both of you, are you willing to do it?
Yes, I am.
I will make that gift to your family if you will do it.
So much, Dr. Phil.
Okay. All right. Now, I was curious what all of you on Twitter felt when it came to Lisa and Rick's marriage, so we just tweeted, is there a future for this marriage? The results are yes, 5%, no, 95%. So based on your history and pattern, 95% of my audience
I understand that
has responded to this says no. And you see why.
I understand completely, yes.
A lot of them are going to doubt whether you have the gumption to cut that relationship off.
You'll see, I do.
Do it for your family. Do it for you. Give it a chance. All right, when we come back, she's currently cheating on her husband and sees nothing wrong with it. I'm going to talk to another lady about this when we come back. Okay, while we were talking, a tweet came in that I wanted to address from Sweet Tia 79. She tweeted, at Dr. Phil, married 13 years, cheating, works for me. Now, Sweet Tia 79 wanted to remain anonymous, so she's on the phone. Are you there?
I am.
So what makes you think this is working for you?
Well, because of the fact that I don't have a destructive relationship with my husband, I'm cheating purely for sex.
Okay, and how is that okay? I mean, does he have someone that he sees for sex?
Not that I know of. Not that it's okay. It's just it balances. Everything's good in my marriage except that aspect. So that's all I'm missing, and that's all I need when I cheat.
Okay. What does he know about it?
No.
Okay. Well, let me tell you why that's not okay. Okay. You've got deception in your relationship. That's not good. You don't want that. And that will come back to bite you. And are you cheating with a married man?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got two relationships involved here, and that sounds not only selfish but dysfunctional. You have no attraction to your husband, or he has no attraction to you?
No, it's not that at all, actually. He's quite a bit older than me, and I do have high sex drive, and he doesn't.
How old are you?
33.
And how old is he?
45.
Boy, that hurts. Okay, well, I have 2 words of advice for you. Doctor and Viagra. I mean, maybe he has a physical problem. Maybe he needs to take something, whatever, but this is not a solution. You need to try to fix this inside the marriage, not by turning outside the marriage. And 45 is not quite a bit older. He still has many years of functional life left, I promise you. All right. Fancy Dancy 17 just tweeted, friend cheated, family torn apart, lifetime of regrets, no excuse. So Fancy Dancy, what do you say?
I've seen this tear apart a lot of families. I do not think that, first of all, anyone in this situation is sorry. They only care about their own particular circumstance. They do not care about the children. Everyone's out for their own needs, and people would rather stay comfortable versus dealing with pain. And you're taking away everyone's choices in that matter.
You really do introduce a whole different element, and it is a very selfish and immature thing to do. I've got one more person here, Jerry's Hilo, and he says, love dating married women, no strings attached, exciting and fun. Really? You say it works for you, right?
Yeah, it actually does. I'm just out there to please the women, basically. Basically, put it this way: if the woman's gonna come out to cheat, there's only one thing on her mind. She's out there to cheat and cheat only. So it's like, I'm out there, I'm single, I'm out there, doing my thing. If she's out there to cheat, why not be me? Any other guy would love to pick up on her. So I'm the guy to just be there. I'm more of like to listen to her.
So you're basically providing a service.
Basically for free.
And how old are you?
I'm 25.
25.
Yeah.
Ever been married?
No.
You gonna get married?
When the time comes, yeah. If I find the right girl, yeah.
Yeah, well, karma's a bitch. I want to thank all of my guests and everyone on Twitter who tweeted today. You never know when I might spot your tweet and bring you from the virtual world right into the show. So keep them coming. If you want to be part of the conversation, go to drphil.com. Thanks for being here.
Today on Dr. Phil.
Ariel Castro held 3 women captive for 10 years.
Inside the Cleveland kidnappings.
You were in the basement chained to the pole with a helmet on, chains around your neck.
Almost too brutal to believe.
What happened in that room?
Today, for the first time, the first victim.
Was he afraid you would yell out?
Speaks out.
Yeah, that's the reason why he taped my mouth shut.
What did he use?
Duct tape, and he'll put a dirty, nasty sock in my mouth.
Michelle Knight.
I picked the lock and I tried to escape. And he He says, now you're going to be punished.
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
He said, when I get 2 other girls in the house, then I'll let you go.
Did you have any idea when you walked through that front door that it would be 11 years before you would walk back out?
Now, from Cleveland, Ohio, here's Dr. Phil.
She was the forgotten victim. The one girl who emerged from the house that once stood right here that no one knew, no one cared about. There had been no missing posters for her, no candlelight vigils. But today, in an exclusive interview, her story will be told. No one will forget the day 3 women were freed, surviving more than a decade in captivity. Today, we're going inside the news story that shocked and captivated the nation.
One man is now being held responsible for more than a decade of horror.
3 young women apparently held captive vanished in their teens or early 20s.
Help me, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
Cheers and sheer joy on Seymour Avenue upon the news. I knew she would come home.
Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight are all safe and sound tonight.
Ariel Castros, the former school bus driver, is now the sole suspect in the investigation. Authorities say the victims spent much of their captivity bound, either in the basement or on the 2nd floor of Castro's house.
Castro pleaded guilty to 937 criminal counts, including murder, for ending Michelle Knight's pregnancy.
Castro will face life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 1,000 years.
Today, Michelle Knight breaks her silence. She was Ariel Castro's first victim and is the first of his 3 captives to speak out. Since her release, you'll see that Michelle has gotten several piercings as a symbol of her newfound freedom. She may be small in stature, but has enormous strength and spirit. I'm really proud to be sitting here talking to you, and it's really an honor to meet you. I'm so glad that you're telling your story, and I want people to know everything you want them to know. And I would kind of like to start at the beginning. And, you know, some of this is not a pretty story. I'd like to talk about your life before this tragedy.
That was a horror tragedy.
Tell me why you say it was horrible.
In my case, I wished that my mother wasn't my mother.
Is that why you did not want to see your mother when you were released?
I haven't seen her in so long, and I can't wait to see her. Because she was my daughter and my best friend.
You had no desire to see that woman. When you went missing on that day, what she told the police is that you suffered from mental abnormalities and that she is confused of her surroundings a lot.
The only reason why I'm confused of my surroundings because I wasn't allowed out. I wasn't allowed to have friends. She made sure that I was dumber than a doorknob just to get the SSI money. Right. But I'm not dumb. Half of the time I didn't even go to school because she wanted to make sure that I didn't know anything.
You're obviously very intelligent. You read well. You've read my book. You read Self Matters, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way.
I loved it.
Well, thank you. And that's not an easy book to read, as you know.
No.
You've overcome some horrific things and still developed your mind and your personality and your talent, and you should be so proud of that. Now, tell me about getting pregnant with your son.
That was amazing. I loved my son with all my heart.
Now, when your son was 2 years old, he was injured by your mother's boyfriend?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
My mother's boyfriend came home one day, high and drunk, and just decided to take out his frustrations on my son.
And how did he hurt him?
He twisted my son's leg, and I heard it crack. My son didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just looked at me and said, "Mommy, help me." Thank you.
So at some point, they came in and said, the child's not safe in this home.
Yeah.
And so they took your baby.
And then they try to say that I never protected him, and I did. I did all I could do.
On the day that you were taken by Ariel Castro, you were walking to an appointment with social services. Okay, Michelle, we're at the dollar store on Clark Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened here?
This is where I was abducted from.
And you live about how far from here, your house at the time?
Right down a block.
And you had walked from there, and you were going to check on the custody issue with your son, right?
Yes.
You got lost.
I proceeded to walk through this door.
Okay.
And
you went inside here.
Yeah.
And is that where you were overheard?
Yes.
So we now know that he overheard you asking for direction.
Yeah. And then the guy that was right beside me, he was like, well, I know where that's at. And I knew him because of Emily, which is his daughter. So I got in the car and I told him where I was going. And he said, okay, well, I gotta drop off at the house to make sure the puppies are okay. So I was like, all right, I'll sit in the car, you check them, because I didn't want to go in the house.
We are on Seymour Avenue.
Yes.
And this is where this horrific event took place, this 11 years of hell for you. Did he pull up in the driveway?
Mm-hmm. And he closed the gate, and he went in the back, and he went to the back door of his house.
And you were still in the car?
Yeah, and then he comes out and he tells me, well, just come in for a little while. The puppies are upstairs. You could take one home to your son. So I said, okay.
How did you go in?
Into the back door.
So no one ever could see you going in the front door?
No. But I did poke my head out, and I saw a bunch of people that lived in the previous house next to him.
Okay.
And I waved hi to them.
Did they wave back?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I looked around in the house, and I didn't hear any whining, so I started to get a little nervous. Then he was like, well, the puppies are upstairs, and I was like, I'm not going upstairs with you. He was like, well, if you want the puppy, you will come up. I finally gave in. I was like, okay, I'll go upstairs with you. And then I seen Emily's picture. I was like, ah, that's Emily. And I was like, is she here? And he was like, yeah, she's here. She's just right downstairs. So I was like, okay. So we go in there, we look for the puppies. The puppies are not there. So he trapped me in a room.
And how did he trap you at that moment?
He already had it set up to where he could tie me to the, I think it's like a clothesline type of thing.
And did he tie you to this?
Yes.
Did you have any idea when you walked through that door that it would be 11 years before you would walk back out it?
No.
Could you have ever dreamed or imagined as you stepped through that door that you would not breathe that air again for 11 years?
No.
So he gets you in this room. What did he tie you up with?
One of those orange extension cords. I was tied up like a fish, an ornament on the wall. That's the only way I can describe it. I was hanging like this, my feet, and I was tied by my neck and my arms with the extension cord going like that.
Oh my God. So he tied your hands and feet and also around your neck and hung you from this rod?
Yes.
Did you fight him at the time?
At the time, no, because I was shocked.
You panicked, just froze?
Yeah, and the only thing I can do is cry, begging him, let me go back to my son.
What did you say to him?
I said, please don't do this to me. And he said again, you can't take me back. And then he threw money at me.
What was the significance of him throwing money at you?
He was obsessed with prostitutes. And Also, he thought I was a 13-year-old prostitute. When he found out my real age, he got mad.
Why did that anger him? He wanted a child?
Yes.
Did he rape you at that point?
No. He on my clothes, which was pretty disgusting, and left me there like that.
So he masturbated, then he left?
Yes. He told me before he left, he was like, you're only gonna be here as a friend, and that's it, and I'll let you go on Christmas. I never got home.
Did you get the sense that you were not the first that he had taken? I want to be very clear regarding Michelle's childhood. Michelle's mother, Barbara Knight, absolutely disagrees with Michelle's recollections of those early years. She doesn't think she's lying, but she believes that her perception of events is distorted due to the trauma she has endured. Michelle's mother released this statement to us through her attorney. Michelle, my daughter, has been the victim of long-term and profound and unspeakable torture. Her point of view has been altered by that monster and what he did to her. What I have heard that she said about me breaks my heart. That is because what she now believes, though not true, increases her pain. I love my daughter, I always have and always will. I pray that someday she will have healed enough to know that again. We'll be right back.
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive. Ariel Castro's first victim speaks out.
Did you get the sense that you were not the first that he had taken?
Yes. He said he had one other girl, but I'm not going to tell you if she made it out alive.
At this point, what are you thinking in your mind? You're hanging from this pipe.
That I'll never get out of alive.
Let's talk about when he comes back, how long before he took you down?
Maybe 24 hours.
And when he came back through the door, what did you think was going to happen then?
I thought I was going to get killed.
And what did he do when he came back?
Instead, he unties me, takes me to the basement, and he ties me up to a pole with chains wrapped around it. The chains were so big, and he wraps it around my neck. He sits me down on the floor, and he says, this is where you're gonna stay until I can trust you. Now, if I do it too tight and you don't make it, that means you wasn't meant to stay here. That means God wanted to take you. So he proceeded to put it around my neck, and then he tied it around my stomach, and then he took my hands and bound it behind me. And he took a motorcycle helmet and he put it over my face to where I couldn't breathe at all. And later on, I didn't remember a thing because I had passed out. And when I finally woke up, he was not there. And I was searching around because I had went like this and broke the twisty ties that he had around my arm. There was no light. And I started looking around. So I finally found a pair of pliers and a wire cutter. So I started using it on the chain, and then I heard a car stop. This is when I got the chain from around my neck. He comes through the door, and he sits there and says, why did you take the chain off? Now you're gonna be punished. And that's when he started hurting me.
In what way?
Sexually. And he took a pipe and he held it like this over my head, and he said, if you scream, I'll ram this down your throat and I'll kill you. So I didn't scream, I didn't make a noise. I just laid there. The only thing I could say is let me go.
And when you would say let me go, what did he say?
He said, when I get 2 other girls in the house, then I'll let you go. And I told him, no, you don't need to do that. I begged him not to bring any more there to suffer the hell I went through.
Did he rape you at that point?
Yeah.
Did he hit you?
He hit me twice because he started to do other sexual performances on me that caused for screaming.
Did he have that helmet on you?
No, not at the time. He took it off.
How often and how long did you have to wear?
The first 3 weeks I was in the house, I had to wear that.
The first 3 weeks?
Yeah.
May I show you a picture?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just not going to do anything without your permission. Is this the pole he had you chained to? How do you feel when you look at that?
I see everything he did to me in that picture.
Some of these places where the paint's gone from the pole, is that from the chains?
Yes. That's where I tried to get out, and I couldn't pull the pole down because I wasn't strong enough.
May I show you another picture? Are these the chains?
Yeah.
So these heavy, rusty, filthy things are around your neck and your waist?
Yeah.
How did you go to the bathroom?
He'll give me something like a bucket with a lid on it.
How long would he leave you there alone?
Almost all day, but he always came home drunk.
What would he do without having to be in detail?
He'll hit me. He'll like drag me by the chain, you know, stuff like that. There's like this one show that he watched constantly. It was about people that, you know, have really bad sexual problems. And he'll watch it and then he'll want to do exactly what he sees on TV to other people. One of the fetishes was sexual pleasure was choking.
So would he choke himself sometimes?
No.
Always you?
Mm-hmm.
When you were in the basement chained to the pole, did he leave clothes on you?
At that time, the only thing I had on was a t-shirt and a pair of underwear. That's it.
This is that downstairs area?
Yeah. That's a very ugly whip in the side corner. Looking at that made me remember him whooping me with that.
He would beat you with that? When you were down there, was it generally in the dark?
There was no light at all.
And you just laid on the concrete floor in the dark?
Well, it's kind of like being like this, because I couldn't lay down, because the pole will hold me up.
Because of the chain around your neck? But you were able to sleep some?
No, I just mainly passed out from the chain being around my neck.
Did you ever hear anybody else in the house up there?
Plenty of times.
What did you hear?
Coming up.
Was he afraid you would yell out?
Yeah, that's the reason why he taped my mouth shut.
What did he use?
Duct tape, and he'll put a dirty, nasty sock in my mouth.
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive. Ariel Castro's first victim speaks out.
Was he afraid you would yell out?
Yeah, that's the reason why he taped my mouth shut.
What did he use?
Duct tape, and he'll put a dirty, nasty sock in my mouth. So I could not, like, you know, move the tape with my lips to get it off.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What was your relationship with him? What did you say to him?
I never talked to him. I hated him.
Did you tell him you hated him? Did you tell him to leave
Yes.
you alone? Did you tell him to let me go? What did you say?
I told him that he was a monster.
Were you afraid he would hurt you more when you said you're a monster, I hate you?
At the point of time, I really didn't care because it was either I was going to die or I was not.
Was there a time that you thought you would rather just die?
Yes, but that would be taking the easy way out. And I want my son to know me as a victor, not a victim. And I wanted him to know that I survived. Loving him. His love got me through.
Could you see his face clearly in your mind?
Yeah.
Could you hear his little voice?
Say, Mommy, please don't do it. I need you.
It's very brave, Michelle. You said that he told you, I'm going to keep you chained to this pole until I can trust you.
Yeah.
Define trust. What did he mean?
Until I submitted to him and I did nothing wrong, like trying to escape.
And so what would you do to try to make him less suspicious, to make him trust you more?
I would like change things that I said, and I'll be like, well, you're not bad, you're just a little abnormal, and it's okay, everybody does something wrong. I would let him know that there's like places out there for him to go where he can get help and he don't have to do this anymore.
That was a brilliant strategy, very smart. The FBI interrogators will tell you one of the best things to do is trivialize what they've done. It seemed to work because at some point he did move you from the basement, right?
Yes. But then when I got up there, it was like he turned into Jekyll and Hyde. He'll start saying things like, you did something wrong. If you do something wrong again, I'm gonna hurt you. It's like, who are you talking to? I didn't do anything. And then I'll be like this, well, we could watch a movie together. I'll turn it around and I'll make him feel like I want him in the room.
You could defuse him sometimes.
Yes.
Right. There is a picture in here of the room he moved you to, correct?
Yes, I was basically chained to the bed.
When you were in this room, you said he had to get the chain just right so you could go to the bathroom. Are you still using a bucket in the bedroom that he put you in up there?
I only had this much chain space, so I couldn't like reach a window or anything.
Windows were taped shut or?
Boarded.
Boarded.
No possible way to see out or anybody to see in.
You couldn't see the sky, you couldn't see a cloud, you couldn't see anything?
No.
So tell me about life in this first room that you were in. What was your existence like in that space?
Lonely, scared, always praying to God to pop the locks or do something because I needed to get out of here. I cried daily, and he would always yell at me for crying, always. You're not supposed to cry, you're supposed to be happy.
You're kidnapped, chained to a bed, held captive, but you're supposed to be happy. That's his delusional thinking.
Yeah, that was his little fairy tale world.
Is this a door or a window or what do we
That's
have?
a door we kept the alarm on.
So there's an alarm here.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened in that room?
A lot of abuse. When he did abuse me, it was like lasted for maybe like 3-4 hours. And he'll stop, take a break in between, and come back.
Take me through one of those 3 or 4 hour sessions.
He'll proceed to have sex with me. He'll ask me, do I like it? He'll ask me to say a certain phrase, and if I didn't say it, he would just keep on punching me until I say it. No matter how much pain, I try not to say it, because I didn't want to say it. But eventually I said it, so he'll leave me alone.
How did you feel when you said it?
Dirty. Disgusted of myself.
That was a failure. He had won that round.
Yeah.
Were there times when you would never say it?
Yes. And I'll say, well, if you want me to say it, you might as well just kill me, because I'm not going to say it again. So he'll put the extension cord around my neck and he'll start to choke me, and then I'll just pass out.
Did you ever have a dog?
Yeah.
Tell me about your dog.
He was the sweetest dog I ever had. One day, my dog decided to protect me. Bit him, and he broke his neck right in front of me.
How did he break his neck?
Picked him up, turned his neck. All I heard was a yelp and he was gone.
What did you say when he killed your dog?
I called him a bastard.
What did he do with the dog?
He buried it in the backyard.
Coming up.
What tipped you off that you weren't the first girl that he had done this to?
He showed me an area that's in his basement that says rest in peace.
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive. Ariel Castro's first victim speaks out.
Tell me what you said to yourself when he finally left the room, closed the door, locked you in, and you were alone again.
I said, thank God he left. That's all I would say. And then I'll fall asleep praying for my lock to be popped. And then finally, one time, he decided to take me downstairs, and I found a needle. And I picked the lock, and then he leaves, but I didn't know he was in his backyard. And I try to escape. And then he comes running up the stairs. I'm panicking. I'm halfway out the window. I run back to the bed, chain myself in the best way I could, and I just pretended like nothing happened. But I kept the pen underneath my pillow, and he found it, and he was like, what are you doing with this? And I pretended that I carved something in my arm. So he took the pen, he was like, don't do that. It's not good to self-mutilate. So he was like, I'm gonna leave you up here, I'm gonna get you later to take a shower. So he left, and that's the last time that I had a chance to get out.
And did he take you for a shower?
Yes, it was the only shower I got for a year. It was my punishment for trying to escape.
But did he know you tried to escape?
Oh yeah, the chain wasn't put on right. He figured it out.
Oh, so in that moment he didn't figure it out, but then he did figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. It comes Christmas time. Are you aware that it's the holiday season?
Yeah. He'll rub it in my face that I wasn't with my son.
What would he say?
Your son's spending holidays with somebody else, and you won't be able to spend holidays with him until I feel like letting you go.
So he knew how important your son was to you, so he would throw that up in your face?
Yeah. And he'll say that he's better off without you.
What would you say to him when he would say that to you?
I would ask him how he felt when his wife took his kids away from him.
And so that puts us in to the winter time of that first year. Does anything stand out to you about that time?
It's always very cold. He didn't have heat, and I only had one sheet.
You didn't have blankets?
No.
How cold did it get in your room?
So cold that my lips would turn blue and you could see my breath.
What did you wear when you were in the room?
I was just basically naked. I didn't have clothes at all.
No clothes?
None.
Did you ever tell him, look, I'm freezing in here, give me some clothes, give me some blankets?
Yeah. He'll look at me and he'll be like, well, you don't need clothes and anything to stay warm. You're only here for one thing and that's it. And he'll just be like, well, when I trust you enough to give you clothes, I'll go out and buy you clothes. If it didn't go by his book, then I didn't get the covers, I didn't get the clothes. I didn't get food or anything else if it wasn't the way he wanted it to be.
Did he ever take you back down into the basement?
Yes. And he made me stay down there for a long time. And it's a lot colder in the basement than it is up in the room.
So you're barefooted, naked.
On cement. So.
Nothing but chains on the cement.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever ask him why he was being so mean to you?
He said because he hated me. That's the only thing he said to me is because I hate you.
Did you ever get pregnant with him that first year?
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive. Ariel Castro's first victim speaks out.
Did you ever get pregnant with him that first year?
Yeah.
So tell me about this first time that you figure out you're pregnant. Did he figure it out too?
Yeah, I didn't tell him. I didn't want to. I was scared. And then finally, he was like, I think you are pregnant. And then I was like, okay, what do you want me to do about that? He was like, I'm gonna do something about it. That's when he punched me in my stomach.
How did he do that?
I was standing up and he punched me with a barbell. He took the round part and he went like this. And he made it go up so it could hit the lower area of my stomach. I fell to the floor.
He just knocked you down. What did he say?
And he said, tomorrow it better be gone. That's all he said. And then when I did miscarry, he blamed me. He said I hated him, that I killed his kid. And he punched me in the face, saying that it was all my fault.
How did you feel when you knew that the pregnancy was over?
I felt bad for the child.
You know, some women would say, I'm glad I don't want to have a child with this monster, which I know you didn't, but you still had compassion for the baby. We've gone through 8 months here. What tipped you off that you weren't the first girl that he had done this to?
He kept on repeating, don't think you're the only one. And he kept on repeating it and repeating it. And then he showed me an area that's in his basement that says rest in peace. But the name he scribbled out, I couldn't really see because I didn't have glasses.
Right. Tell me about him telling you that he was hunting for replacements.
He would always say, I seen this girl, I'm just sad that I didn't get her in my car. He would let me know what girl he was trying to abduct and where she worked.
On April 21st, he takes Amanda Berry. How did you first learn that there was another victim in the house?
Coming up.
Was she chained?
I didn't see the chain until she moved her leg because it was around her ankle.
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive. Ariel Castro's first victim speaks out.
Amanda Berry, 17 years old, didn't come home from her job at Burger King 3 weeks ago.
The greatest hope is that my sister comes home.
Mandy, I love you. If you can get a hold of me, please call me. People love you.
We will leave the details of the stories of Gina DeJesus and Amanda Berry for them to tell if and when they wish to do so. What you're about to hear is Michelle's recollections of the experiences the three women shared while in captivity.
How did you first learn that there was another victim?
The news.
Okay, how is it that you were able to watch TV now?
He finally gave me a broken down TV, but I seen her picture and I didn't know her name until they pasted it across the
This was
screen.
in your room?
Yeah, and I had a feeling the reason why he turned on the TV is because he wanted me to know that there was another girl in the house. A couple weeks later, he brings a girl in my room and he says it's his brother's girlfriend. I knew that was a lie because of the way she looks.
How did she look?
She looked just like Amanda, and she was wearing a pair of boy pajamas.
And did she have a top on?
Yeah, she actually had clothes, which was odd to me because I didn't have any. When she came in my room, and I was covering myself with a blanket like this, so she couldn't see.
You were embarrassed?
Yes, very. And at the time she came in my room was like full of garbage, knee-high. There's old pizza, you know, there's like spoiled, you know, sandwiches on the floor, you know, because he wouldn't take it out. He would leave it there. And there was like flies flying around the room. It was pretty disgusting.
How did he behave with her? How did he react with her when you brought her in? Was she chained up, tied up?
No, she didn't have chains or anything on her. The only one that did was me, and he made me cover it before she came in the room.
So how long after you saw on the television that a girl had been taken, how long between there and when he brought her in your room?
Weeks.
Weeks. What happened when he brought her in the room? He said, all right, this is my brother's girlfriend. Was she crying? Was she?
No, she smiled at me because I think she was happy to see that there was another person there and it wasn't just her. She wasn't alone.
Did she look beat up or anything?
No.
Was she clean?
I didn't see any dirt or anything. Like on my legs, you would have seen black dirt. She looked like she wanted to cry though, but she didn't cry.
How long was it before you saw her again?
A long while.
Was it like several days or several weeks?
I think it was more than likely months.
Months before you see her again?
Yeah.
So he brings her.
He brings me in the room. Basically, I was embarrassed to walk in the room because I was fully naked. And I didn't want to walk in front of her being naked. And he was like, well, she got the same thing you have. You can come in the room.
We're going to go. Whose room? His
Amanda's.
Room? Amanda's.
This is when I finally got to see where she was at. We're sitting there, we're talking, and she told me that, I think I remember you from school. I was like, yeah, I remember you.
Was she chained?
I didn't see the chain until she like moved her leg because it was around her ankle.
But she was chained?
Mm-hmm.
Did you talk to her then? Were you ever alone?
No, never alone.
At that point, at least?
Always with him.
So how often in these ensuing months did you see Amanda? So how often in these ensuing months did you see Amanda?
Not that often. And when we did, it was like a quick hug and bye because he wouldn't let us stay in the same room for that long.
And when he would leave for work, did you two yell out to each other?
No, we weren't allowed. I'm pretty sure if we did, we would have got in trouble.
So you didn't know if he was there or gone or?
But if her mom was on TV or something, I would blast my TV so she can hear me, so she can turn on hers. And then I'll quickly turn it down because you never know when he's there.
And if you do something wrong, if you do something defiant, then you're going to get hurt. How many times did you see her during that first year?
Maybe 6 or 7 times. And sometimes she would cry. And I'll tell her everything will be okay. And that one day we'll get home. We just have to, wait it out.
We've only just begun to scratch the surface of what took place inside that house that once stood at 2207 Seymour Avenue. Tomorrow, Michelle reveals the moment she knew Castro had added a third young girl, 14-year-old Gina DeJesus, to his prison.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil.
I had to help him drill holes in a wall to put the chains through to hook us together.
He was forcing you to prepare a torture chamber for a new victim.
In the basement, all I could hear is a girl screaming, "Get off of me." And he tells me, "I hate you because I can abuse you and nobody will care."
The stories no one has heard.
He had you digging back here. Was this a grave?
From Ariel Castro's House of Horrors.
Gina picks me up into her arms. I begged her to let me die.
That's tomorrow.
If you've been touched by Michelle Knight's story and you want to make a donation for her future, go to drphil.com. The Dr. Phil Foundation is setting up a donation fund for Michelle, and we are starting her off with a substantial donation. Every single penny will go straight to her. There is no one more deserving of our help than this brave young woman. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.